get accustomed to the volatility, and then I think things will be because we had 4 years of relative calm.
So just size down, wider stops, get accustomed to it, and
all right, guys, it is now 2 o'clock, and it's time to send you to the Big Kahunas, Neil and Sean, Joseph on the Market Recap Show with Neil. Make sure to catch that. I'll see everybody in a couple of minutes at the green screen.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna have Joey option.
Neil, get out of the White House.
The best part, there was a moment, like, I don't know, like 10 minutes ago, where the boys were like, we try not to talk politics. Sean turns and goes, wait till I'm back on. Yeah, and then the thumbnail for the show, for this afternoon show, predictably, is going to be.
That was a great thumbnail. Here's the thumbnail right here.
Oh, you've got it. Yeah.
Oh, because I just logged it in. There it is right there. Yeah, Trump.
Go to Sean's screen.
Zelensky. It'll go there in a second. There it goes on. There it is right there. So what a great, thanks Fabian for doing this. I think that's a great, hold on, how do I push? Where's the play?
It's already started.
I know. Where's the thing? Okay. Well, anyways, I don't know. There it goes. I'm going to start it up now. There's the play button. There it is. Hey, what's going on? Hey, Sean, how's it going? Oh yeah, hit the like and the subscribe. Yeah, I went through Twitter. We were busy. We had someone come through there. A student here in Toronto was doing a project on day trading in the stock market and this and that. So he wanted to come see. So Neil and I did a little bit of a tour, and then there's some questions that I had to answer that took a bit of time, which is great, and we're glad to do that. So what's up to Jackson? He came through there.
Yeah,
so
shout out to Jackson.
Shout out to Jackson.
Very, very cool.
That was a lot of fun. A grade 8 project he's working on.
Which
that was fun.
Yeah, last year junior high. And a fan of the show.
And I said to Jackson, I was like, Jackson, got position over here, So like I was short the NASDAQ right here, but all my bids filled up all the way to the downside. So I was not here to take that very bottom, but we were short the NASDAQ when all that happened. And then I just got out now, ending that trade, so right into there. And now we'll have to wait. We are flat, completely flat, now ready to go for the after show. So we're ready to go. Yeah, no, I was just joking about, we're not gonna get too political there. I actually watched—
to the extent that it moves things.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the whole thing. I didn't think it was that outrageous. It's just, obviously, President Trump there and J.D. Vance, very passionate about the funding that's been thrown towards this war and trying to get an end to it, and they're just not seeing eye to eye. But that's going to affect what? Natural gas. I think that, the energy market here, especially with Ukraine and Russia, that talk. I don't know what major,
there wasn't anything.
Did one specific stock or anything fall that much?
XLE.
That's what I was going to say, energy.
I think, you could look at the defense names, and I don't think you had much, there was a little back and forth. There wasn't much of anything, but there was kind of a distinct and now holding upward trend.
There it is.
Yeah. There's XLE. I would say everything else was just a shakeout after shakeout if you were trading during it. But the trend on the XLE basically got into yesterday's high, and now you're holding on to some of those tops. So, yeah, to the extent that it's going to move around the market, we have to pay attention to it. And I saw in the chat someone just said, what trader doesn't talk politics or at least observe them? Hey, we're in an environment where you're going to get headline risk. We just know that that's the case. It was last week we had that crazy rollover in the afternoon where we were cruising to the upside. I don't know that I would call that today, but we were red to green and the market's back to red. I think maybe you want to look at some energy this afternoon or go back to square one. Just a couple.
It's not a bad mall, Square One, Sharif? You guys remember Square One Mall?
I haven't been to Square One in.
Yeah, I was there for a minute.
You know who I ran?
Not too long ago. I have somebody to tell you who I ran.
Goat?
No, no.
No, the last time I saw Goat was at Square. There's a dude from our high school crew, and I'll say his nickname. I won't say his actual name. From our high school crew that nobody knows what happened to. I went to university with him. He was on my university track team. We chill, and he's just. I don't know. He's just kind of gone. His nickname was Goat, and I thought you were going to say you ran into him.
No. I don't know.
He's doing great.
I don't know how to. I have to tell you who I ran into off air because we didn't have a nickname for this person. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But at the end of the day, yeah, look, thank you for joining us. We've had a record week. I mean, we had the most ever viewers at one consecutive time there, or at one individual time. Over 18,000 were with us on the Market Recap show. We've had big following all week. I mean, I think the show 4,957 right now on the subscribers. We want to thank everybody for liking the stream, subscribing to the stream. But I just want to say, with all this stuff, we will talk a little bit about politics, but at the end of the day, it's in relationship to the market. We do have Streamlabs. People will get timed out and things like that. I don't think Bears versus Bulls, and you use, of course, whatever discretion you want Bears versus Bulls there. But yeah, we're going to talk about. We're going to have a great time. It's Friday afternoon. We've got MSCI rebalancing. We want to talk about that. I think it was Enphase is looking for a big sell, right?
The biggest North American one that I think we should be. There's a lot of when MSCI has a rebalance. A lot of it's going to be the emerging markets. So you get some stuff in Brazil that nobody here is probably going to be trading. Although you can at Real Trading. Shout out to Real Trading. Enphase was the biggest deletion on a NASDAQ name that I saw. Oops, that's not Enphase. I'm only in Rocket Lab off of 20. Trying
that's
to get
back to $20?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow.
So I'll be watching Enphase at the end of the day. It's down 6%. Oh, wow. Enphase, yuck. Okay, flat bottom break too. So not looking good. We're expecting a lead out of them at the close. So there will be some big imbalances. We'll steer you through that like we always do. I do believe Sharif is ready and waiting for us to see what tickers you want to talk about. I have a strong feeling that there's going to be this chip company that people are going to want to talk about.
Yeah, Micron?
I was thinking
DRAM?
I think maybe Intel.
DRAM? Broadcom? I didn't make up my...
Welcome, everyone, to the Afternoon Rundown, the show where you decide what we talk about every afternoon. The boys are ready to go. They're locked, they're loaded. They're ready to look at the tickers as decided by you. But the only way to get your tickers up there is to join Joe and I on the How to Trade show during the midday and get into the chat and vote for your favorite tickers, and then hopefully we'll have them on. But you got to be a subscriber in order to engage with us in the chat. So make sure you are liking, subscribing, and sharing. Here's a look at the triple Qs. All the four major averages in negative territory. The Dow faring the best, only down 0.03. The worst of the bunch is the Russell down 0.3, followed by the NQ down 0.2 and the ES down 0.15. Here's the first look here. The Cybertruck sales, not too good. There's a glut of inventory apparently for the Cybertrucks, discounting the Foundation series to the tune of 6,000, and then the newer ones that are not the Foundation series getting about a $4,000 haircut here. Tesla up 0.91, guys, but that's hardly a great looking chart pattern.
Funny, I just had to run and put some makeup on. I told Jackson, I was like, don't tell anybody. I'm muted. Because I went to go put makeup on, is what I was saying there. We were just muted there.
To put the makeup on.
Oh, it's funny. We're talking about having Jackson here, and the thing is like, I think his most interesting. I was like, look at this mirror over here. This is our makeup mirror. He's like, oh, makeup mirror. Oh, that's pushing. I said, don't tell anybody that we wear
because of this
makeup around here. But I guess I just
glare right there. Like that.
I guess I kind of just ruined
like
that.
If I didn't put it on, it'd be blinding you guys. That's how bad it is.
Okay. So just real quick, man. I mean, what a great rebound day for Tesla, honestly. I mean, the fact that it's actually up today is nice. There has been 7 straight down days for Tesla, so nice to see it getting back to the upside there. 292 seemed to have been the top. I mean, we had all the sort of the news that sent the market a little bit to the downside there, although it's still pretty good holding up. I like that 292 for a short. You know, I'm always thinking that we'll be short Tesla until we break above 300. I like psychological levels like that. I mean, you could see it's been a key level. This only goes back 3 days, so I think we can get back up to there. I have a good feeling. I think that Tesla's been hit for obvious reasons. And I mean, we talked about their weaker sales. I mean, Sharif just nailed a couple points there. Their sales in Europe down, right? People are now viewing, and this happened, I don't know if you guys remember, but this also happened back, and I could probably ask ChatGPT, but, when exactly he was looking at Twitter, and I mean, we had seen Tesla go to the downside because a lot of traders were certain that he wasn't focused properly on the stock and was more looking at Twitter and going through X and all that kind of stuff, right? So I just wonder about how much of this drop down rate here are people's opinions of what he's doing with Doge and the affiliation there with President Trump and that whole sort of administration, and how much of it is Tesla related. We know that the car sales are down. I mean, but GM is still rallying a little bit. There has been, spots of brightness, and I do think that the next little realm, if we take away politics and all that, and I know that's hard to do, and we understand that, but if you take that all away, I still like the robo-taxi thought. I still like the fact that they're working on Optimus. I mean, we talk about Rivian and the production and all these issues that some of these companies are having. That's not something that Tesla has. They can pump out as many of these cars as they need, and it's all robotic, so they don't have to worry about unions. There's a lot of things that Tesla has that are good, but right now I just feel there's too many sort of headwinds. And right now we're looking for tailwinds. So when that starts to happen, Tesla will be back. I don't know if this is a generational buying opportunity, like I've seen some people say on Twitter, but whenever you get stock back to the 200 period moving average, as long as the story's not broken, and I'm not sure it is, I think it's a buying opportunity. So I don't know. I'm not sitting here buying, but I do think I just bought at 330. I do think that there is something here. Top. Let's call it support for now.
Yeah, it's going to close above the 200 period moving average today, and that'll be enough for me. Well, I mean, next week, as long as anything can happen over the weekend. The way headlines are coming through, who knows? Maybe it's underneath the 200 period when we come in on Monday. You never know. But to answer your question, and by to answer your question, Sean, I mean when ChatGPT answered your question, he disclosed his stake April 4th, 2022. So obviously would have been interested in it before, and some of that would have happened a little bit earlier. But if you just go from about here, it never regained that high from when he disclosed the stake and went from $325 all the way down to $100.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that happens on this distraction, but you've already been cut almost in half from the highs. Something equivalent could see this down in the 200s. I think if you get back down into like the one, you put like a one handle on this thing, and that's a generational buy opportunity. Here, I think is a good spot if we hold that 200 period. I'm only like today. I was really only looking long after the wipeout bottom, but kind of bungled the VWAP trade in there, which will be disappointing because I think that was the one shot. Now you're under VWAP, lower highs being put through. This day has the feel of the risk to me is that we kind of fall this afternoon after we have one of these big trend reversals. Typically, we've been following those through most days. So I would lean toward that first. Let's go talk about the Chinese ADRs, which the headline kind of got off them a little bit.
I just want to say, so Jackson's in here. I just said hey to Jackson.
Oh, nice.
And Jackson, I just put on some makeup there. So, yeah, thanks for coming through. I hope it's all good and good luck with your project. Thank you for stopping by and learning a little bit more about day trading and what we do here at Trader TV Live. So, all right, let's go back over rundown time. It's Chinese ADRs.
Strong to start the week, Sean, but fading. Strong to start the week, Sean, here, but fading as Donald Trump came out yesterday, said that there's going to be another 10% tariffs taking place, I believe, March 4th, in addition to the ones that already got put in place February 4th. Those were in addition to the 25% put in his previous presidency and held together by Joe Biden. So K-Web and most of these Chinese ADRs negative.
Alibaba is 4%. It never broke down. There was no trade off of, whoops, zoomed out too far. There was no trade off of the 28 level. There was no trade off the 125. I said, was it last week or maybe, it was either on Monday or last week that this little top end of the range, I was going to trail it out underneath. And I actually thought that had a chance, or at least trail at some of my long-term position. But none of it just didn't happen. Inside day, which like everything else, and you're going to see a lot of charts that look like this, so stop me. It is.
You've heard this before?
It is what it is. Stop me if you heard it before, but it's a V shape on a lot of names, and this was another one. As far as this afternoon goes, Chinese ADR, don't know if it's going to be that much of a trade, but underneath VWAP, you have a good 132 level, at least on Alibaba. I think the other name to watch, either it's like the XPeng or the Neos, and I found that especially the automotive ones, in the afternoon, if they're going to move the Chinese ADRs, it's usually going to be like BABA, as opposed to those names. So I'd look for this at VWAP, just sort of favoring the short end after we had that trend reversal. It's still moving now. We'll see if that actually holds up for the rest of the afternoon. We know how these can get.
I was looking at the futures. I'm going to go short here. I want to go short near VWAP. So 71.70 right now. We put an offer to get a little bit short in the NASDAQ, just in case we do a pop back up. Yeah, look, I mean, the FXI for me is what I always look at. And yeah, we started looking at it today. That 35, there wasn't too many key levels. I mean, this is a 5-minute chart there. Now looking at it, you can see this 35.25 as a top. I mean, if we're going to play support and resistance, that seems like it makes a lot of sense to me if we can short up and around there. Now that's 50-period moving average. So 35.10 or so, I like the short. Thing is, though, Neil already nailed it. There's not enough action here in the afternoon to trade on FXI. It looks like right now I thought we were. I don't know if Donald Trump was going to make another appearance or not there, but I don't think China's on his mind too much right now. So I'm not like based on what's already happened this morning. So I think we'll wait. We'll wait for FXI. If we do hear it, we do have the Benzinga news, and we do have various sources here to look with. But this is what I would do. And then Neil already mentioned K-Web, or maybe Sharif did. I'm not sure, but I did hear it. Again, the internet stocks. So this is. Man, who is this guy talking in my ear now? He's a little bit loud. But yeah, 33 and change for K-Web. This is probably a little more exciting. Again, trading some of the Chinese internet stocks. So for me, I really like the move up that's happened here, unlike many of the U.S. tech stocks that are now close to correction territory. This is not. So yeah, I think there's some strength here in China. And sometimes when you're fearful of something is the kind of when it's the best time, right? So when Trump came into power, especially starting the new year, this has been just an absolute rocket ship. Like K-Web was $27 up to 36. The S&P and the NASDAQ are both red for the year. China definitely not even close to that. Well upside right now for China. I think there's more to come.
So SMCI down with the overall market today to the tune of 5%. No specific catalyst on this one, but it did sell off with Nvidia yesterday as they are obviously related. This one did report, SMCI, that is Super Microcomputer, did report their June and September quarters from last year on the 25th, as was required by the NASDAQ to avoid delisting services. Guys, can't prevent this one from continuing to make lower lows and lower highs.
So before we get to SMCI, I just saw, I saw in the chat just now, at least a couple of minutes ago, someone's like, yeah, AMD is about 100. You think? So this is only, none of the, I actually started this up saying, yeah, there's a certain chip company which is going to be on the list. And of course, Nvidia is not even on there. So there's not an opportunity to talk about this except for now. Eventually, AMD did the curl. I did get some back going short. And then when it was holding, VWAP took a long. So yeah, Neil. Stick with the short, get half back, lose it right back on AMD by going long, and then it fails VWAP and goes to the low of the day. So AMD was a fail for me. I didn't trade SMCI, and oddly enough, this ended up being kind of textbook. It was 44 that I said I liked. Yeah, I know it was 44 that I liked for that top here. You had the morning highs, nice pivot point here at the end of the day. And it was strong. The market was so strong going into it. I thought we had a chance to get up there for a reversion. SMCI was a sell the news event right from the jump once they got the report. It's just been bleeding ever since. It gapped up 22%, and now you're almost right back into that 50 period where some of the euphoria had started. So yeah, unfortunately for SMCI, this is turning into a short till it's not, until it breaks this little bit of a trend that it's on, like 1, 2, 3, and today it looked the strongest it had been. Yeah, this could be a VWAP kind of play on SMCI. Although I'm looking at this at VWAP, but as I look at the chip names, like AMD's well underneath it. You've got 99.75. It's definitely trending down. I think as long as it can hold on to the trend.
Create any money there.
It's like try to be, if it breaks the trend, fine, wait till VWAP. But if it holds on to it and we break the lows, the stock is so weak. So weak.
I thought people liked the super micro quarter. I mean, I don't know. Finally they reported, so that was really nice. You get that upside. Whoopsies. Whoopsies. What am I even doing? What am I doing? Get away there. I don't know. That marker there. So here's a nice move. I mean, this just looks pretty choppy right here. It's not something that I'm overly excited to look at until we get back down into the 50-period moving average. So that's $36. We left it alone today. Remember, if you are trading SMCI, you're going to have to look at pay for shorts because I know it definitely is not shortable here. Okay, the TQs, we just got into the short, so I will talk about that. But I still think, you want to trade this stock as if it was earnings play. And I think that, fading back into VWAP is always a nice little play. So that's something to talk about right there for SMCI. All right, new trade alert. I told Jackson this is my favorite button to hit, so we'll hit it again. We are now we'll take out for 5% down there at 60s. Boom. We just get that filled down there now. So we do a quick little scalp in and out. Not in and out. We still have 90%. There we go. Now we have 90%. We take another 5% there as the futures just came in there. We're just going to short it right here. I'm going to try to play it basically off this 200 period moving average or so. So we'll have to wait to see what winds up happening right there. But yeah, so far so good here right now as we start to short. Let's go talk about crypto.
Big sell-off this week for crypto, breaching that $80,000 level, moving into that 78 and change yesterday overnight. We're still above that technical level of 70 to 75,000. Look out for support there. IBIT recovering, guys, 1 2/3.
72. Okay, I just, people in the chat, I just want to tell you, like, I'm going to be stopping out at this wick. Honestly, I'm not going to play the 200 period exactly. I'm going to play that. 72.30. So I'm going to get some more shares, and I'll throw it to Neil in a second. I just want to make sure that everybody's on this, because I do have another offer right here at the 200 period, $72. Then I'm giving it 30 cents. So I didn't get a chance to look at crypto right now because this is a 20 handle winner. But what are you looking at right here? And then I'll chime in on crypto.
I think basically 85, whatever that works out to on IBIT, but 85 has been the top, and you've been breaching it like very, very briefly. So I think that's the level to watch for this afternoon. Thankfully, of course, like Mara goes right into, like by the time it got to that 1440 top, we were looking at some other things. But this afternoon, Mara's up like 3.5%, so it's hard to say, hey, why would you want to look for a fade in this stock? But look at how far we've pulled back from the highs relative to what I just showed you. We're at 84.4, so Bitcoin is right back at the actual local high, and Mara's making lower highs and stair-step down. So I like this one, as long as we're underneath the 85 level, I like this at VWAP, or maybe even like it's not a huge trend. I prefer maybe working it back into VWAP, but if it breaks this little lower high trend or higher low trend, I want to be short this name. So long as you're underneath 85,000, this is under VWAP. I know it's up 3.5%, but relatively strong. Relatively weak, I should say.
Guys, we still have on more than half of this position. We are absolutely cranking right here. Alert, 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 alert. Big time trading here, actually, for me. I mean, it was a starter position, but this is moving a little bit quicker than I definitely, for myself, thought we would be going. So yeah, so far so good here. We happy with this trade. Look at that futures, man. 71.70. Just take the double barrel fills right there out. Now we have half left. 50 handle winner right here for you out of nowhere. On the futures, so wow. Okay. All right, crypto. So yeah, Neil just talked about some levels there. Hold on a second. So just looking a little bit broader there. You just fell into the 200 period, right? 82 and change. So right now you're out at 84. So yeah, I like that bounce. I think that was probably a whooshed out move down there. There's obviously some political uncertainties in this world, and crypto generally doesn't like too much of that, but in uncertainty times, I could see Bitcoin also rallying. So I don't know. I don't really know what to think about this move. I last bought right into here. We talked about that 85, 86. Now we let it go down, see if it hits in and around 70,000. I wouldn't be surprised if we got, mid 70s maybe this weekend. But the buyers will be here eventually, I think, for crypto. So yeah, that's my thought right here. Let's go talk about nat gas, and we'll see what that effect has been having so far today, especially with the political tensions.
Yeah. Oil's been selling off all week, guys. Nat gas, a little bit of a sell-off as well. As you can see on the 30-minute chart here, lower highs after an aggressive move up last week. Is still trading above the 200 moving average on the daily. Kind of flattening out here, but guys, losing about 2 1/3% on the day.
No, it must not be the March contract. We don't trade forward on this. So NG radio, I'm going to try to find it. What about the February contract? I don't know. It's not loading up for me right here. So, okay, we can just look at Boyle or something like that, of course. Boyle's a ProShares Ultra ETF here for that. So we do have nat gas futures. Maybe I'm not entitled to it. I don't know. Something was wrong.
I do.
Yeah, not yet, my guy. We just started doing this. Yeah, we'll do this. Oh, you got it. NGJ25. Okay, so whatever that is right here. But Boyle's a pretty good ETF to trade, right? Down 4.24% right now. Nice move up recently in nat gas. I think Sharif was talking about this as one of the plays that I think he had on board for the beginning of the year. So that's been a great call. Boyle, again, a levered ETF upside. But, a lot of these names come right back in. So just be careful right here. I would have thought maybe nat gas was going to rip up on this, but you can see it's down right here, down 4%. This is a double. Zelensky's posting something on Twitter. Thank you, America, he's saying. But right here, $78 looks to be a good spot for Boyle. But okay. Lots of stuff happening right now, and we'll continue with that here today. But Neil's got something to say here, so let's do that. I like nat gas here. I think it's a play moving forward.
Absolutely. And big shout out to OGen, because each year 3.8 million concussions are reported in the U.S., yet there is still no FDA-approved treatment. The NYSE listed Oragenics, OGEN, is changing that with its first-in-class intranasal drug designed for rapid brain access. With the concussion treatment market projected to reach $8.9 billion by 2027, Oragenics is uniquely positioned to lead the way. Learn more, schedule a meeting today. Check them out, scan the QR code, check out their website at oragenics.com, OGEN on the NYSE. Just for a second to go back to the nat gas. If you look at the futures, I mean, it's the same chart as Boyle, but this has been a good reversal. I think anyone that's been long the Widowmaker and made it work this time, the 50 period has been respected for most of this upward trend. And I think if it loses that, it could go back to that thing that it usually does, which has not been good. Typically, once it decides to start trending to the downside, it gets nasty. Oh no, I hit enter too fast. All right, well, and we're going to the black chart for Mara, because this one's going to take a while to load. Go black chart, and we'll bring it down here. So Mara, I'm still looking for the play into VWAP. As long as we're not at 85, above 85,000, it's still slowly trending higher. Going to give it some time to be able to get into that top, and then we'll work from there. It's that, AMD, and then we're in Rocket Labs on Rocket Labs. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. We're in Rocket Lab on a reload. AMD would like to see it at least try to test in 99.75 rather than play this consolidation down here. Rocket Lab just would have been shorting this every time it fails the $20 level. I don't know why I'm chuckling, but the news guy in my ear sounds like Kenny Powers, man.
That's so funny that you mentioned that, because just the other day Joe dropped eastbound and down, and I was like, oh my God, yeah, Kenny Powers, too much, man. I wish there was. I like La Flama Blanca when he goes to Mexico. That's the best. I mean, there's so many funny things in that. Or then when he goes to the car dealership and it's Will Ferrell and he's like, "You do whatever I say." It's like he's paying the guy like $200 to sign all these things. It was just too much, too funny, man. That's a funny show. Eastbound and Down. Go find it. Like, an old HBO show.
If I sounded like Kenny Powers, if I was reading out like business news for a service, I'd probably do a voice or something. Like, I don't know.
It's funny you think the guy sounds like Kenny Powers.
Like I would do something.
Oh man, we're talking about the Benzinga guy. Shout out to Benzinga.
Shout out to him.
Okay. Actually, yeah. All right, let's stop going. Let's start going. I just wanted to talk quickly about one thing here, and that would be about DJT. So. Again, I don't see too much action here happening, especially regarding, this stock specifically right now. But, there is action with DJT, and it is a well-traded name, and definitely something that I think we should be looking at moving forward. So let's just take a look here at Donald J. Trump here. And again, remember, it's going to be Truth Social. I think Truth Social is pretty important right now, especially the fact that there's going to be more and more posts coming through there. So whether or not you agree with what's been happening or not in your country or the United States, for that matter of fact. DJT, if you come over here to the daily chart, it's been getting faded, Andre. And I mean, it's also had not a great month or so underneath the 200 period moving average. So I think this is getting real close. If we break through there, that's what, 2318? Remember, this used to be DWAC, so we don't have, our charts don't go all the way back. But that's an interesting spot right here. I think it's the low of the day, 2314. If you break through 23, we're not there yet. We might not even get there. But if you do break, it is kind of like a look out below situation, I feel like. So look out below, basically. We'll watch out for that probably on Monday or so. And again, if you're trading options, it might be a completely different game. But I think this 23 break, if we break that, we could be in for 15s, something like that. Like that's kind of your next area. So this is a name that's not a tech name, but definitely on my radar for a little bit of a worry spot here with DJT and anybody that's playing this. Just watch out, man. It could break a little bit underneath that level. So that's Donald J. Trump. There's a lot of talk about that name. So I want to look at it. Palantir also, this is the stock that turned my day green. So thankfully, Palantir, we've still only traded 2 names today. Palantir and the futures. We're in the futures right now, 20 handles in the money. I like Palantir, but I like it long. I like the pressure that's applied to the shorts when this starts to rip. right? I mean, we got the short early. There was pressure on the whole market to come back in, and Palantir did do that. But then once it reversed and hit that VWAP, then it was nothing but upside. So since then, it's been pretty choppy here this afternoon. We'll probably leave Palantir alone for right now. I know people in the chat like want to know where it's going to go end of day. If I knew that, I don't know if I'd be sitting here. I'd just put the trade on and come back. But yeah. It's not super exciting here right now for me. No momentum in the name. So we'll pass on figuring out Palantir for now. Unless it comes back into 81, then I like it. I am favoring shorts. We are getting ready to reload this thing. 72, though, is where I'm sitting. 72.30 is the stop out.
Yeah, now that the market's starting to come up, you're starting to see, I mean, AMD just popped a little bit, but that's actually not the one moving the most. Like I just looked over at the other chart, and Mara is starting to get a little bit tighter to that 13.8. It was also, this is the same place. That 13.8 area is pretty much the same place that it rolled over at 2 o'clock yesterday. So there's a little confluence there, for lack of a better term. With that level, AMD going higher. I was pointing out that Apple is relatively strong, but very, very, like someone said Apple's choppy today. Yeah, it's certainly a chop, but look at kind of what's going on here. Like it's riding the top of a channel without revisiting the bottom of it. To me, that's a relatively strong name that has a chance to clear out this top before the market's even getting to it. So if it shows any consolidation over this channel, which I'm going to hit save so it's there, I don't want to redraw that. If it shows any consolidation over this channel, I want to be long this. On Apple, it's green into, it's up 0.3, so it's a little bit better than the overall market, but at those highs currently and testing the top, where there's clearly been some sellers up here. I just got a reload in Rocket Labs. I guess AMD or Mara don't want to get there necessarily. Nvidia's above VWAP, that's looking strong. Tesla is, but the only thing I'm seeing Mag 7-wise is testing the highs is Apple. It's looking relatively strong. But yeah, Rocket Lab just did another test of that 19.9 level out in front of that 20. So grabbed it a third time in here. Basically been scalping it out in front of 19.5 while leaving an order at VWAP. So I'll do that until 20 breaks on Rocket Lab. This is basically the only shorts that have been any good all day for me on Rocket Labs. Like we're shorter on the way up the whole way through. Now 20's holding. If 20 goes, we'll get out just slightly above that 20 level.
All right, so we did get reloaded, and yeah, good trade. We just got 72s out 83s right there on the NASDAQ, so on TQs. So good trade. We still have the position, but we did get some out as it just we told you we were sitting at 72. So there it is. We're sitting at 72. We take that trade. And now we got filled at VWAP, which is right there at 8. We actually got 83s. Now we'll wait to see if it wants to fall back into the 50 period again, would be 50s. So that would be nice. And again, our stop is right there. It could be a wash trade after all is said and done. What I mean by that is like make money there, and we could lose some on the back end here on the upside. Thing is like, it's not, I'm just trying it against this level. Like you are above VWAP here. It's not, the trend rate here of the last hour at least is nicely done to the upside. It's nicely cooking to the upside. So, you know, looking at that and a little bit nervous for sure that we could start to trend higher than get up into here, which is where the real short is. I do think that heading into MSCI, I don't know what the net weightings are, but it's not the S&P 500. So it's not like a absolutely, I don't think it's like a must go or anything like that today for any of the names, but there will be some pressure coming roughly around 330 when the sort of the imbalances start to come out and be showing themselves a little bit, and then 350, of course, when the big dog will come with the NASDAQ. But for right now, I think we want to be short against that level, but not against up here. We will get shorter on the NASDAQ when and if it comes upside, and we're just playing for that afternoon like bonanza that we've seen, right? Like get to the downside here. There's been a lot of closes that have been really aggressively short. So I'm not blaming, but I do think that there's a lot of pressure there from those 0-day options, and I like the short. So there it is. We get another fill right there. I think another 80. Actually, we took a 90 fill right there. So let's let it fall down. I know we're being a little conservative with these plays, but don't mind scalping and then holding on something big here. So we're out at 10% with more bids. My next bid right now is at 81, which is right into here, and then we go lower into the 70s and so on. So let's see if it works. I think it will, and we're going to try to be patient with it right now. It's the NASDAQ. It's the short. I'm bidding 81s, man. If we can get this, that'll be pretty good. That's a quick little 15 handles, let alone 20 handles right there off of the reloaded spot. So man, the futures have been real kind to me lately. Let's just see if we can stick with that and make a trade. Yesterday was a big one into the close. I think a lot of it is muscle memory. I mean, Neil and I, we do other things. There's other things on the side sometimes that we're trading. We're looking at different ideas. But as far as the futures, relatively new for me, trying to scalp some of this out. And so we'll sit here and try to do that into the close. And if there's any other names, I'm going to be looking at a lot of names.
I just myself. Zoom in. There we go. Too far.
Slow down.
Oh, this is so sticky.
Nippon Steel, eh? Oh, that's Japan.
So ignore Dell, because when you have a share increase, but then increase, like decrease, I think that's a little bit mixed. But MicroStrategy, you're expecting a share increase. CrowdStrike, share increase. So Nippon Steel, probably, that's going to be Japan. Oh, remember, like I said, a lot of MSCI, a lot of the big changes are going to end up being in other markets. So there's a couple of things happen in Canada, Brazil, all over the world.
Brazil.
But just because we might be anticipating certain names are going to have imbalances, it doesn't necessarily mean those are the ones to go. You never know. At the end of the day, you trade what ends up being big. I'm going to go back just quickly before. Forgot to mention this. I was actually in Intel on a rollover, not the same level that it rolled over. It was 2390 at VWAP yesterday when it broke trend, but it was in a 2370 short of VWAP. That's the other thing I'm watching for VWAP in here. It's not really moving much. I did get trailed out at the same price at a break even or close to break even, but if we pop any further in this move, I want to be short this into VWAP. Apple is now threatening this high, so it's above the top of the channel, but every one of these has been like topping tail wicks. The second it's not a topping tail wick, I want to be long in Apple looking for that break. It's breaking the highs when the market isn't. It's one of the strong names. So this can close, once we close this candle above and confirm, we're going to look for longs here in Apple. Tesla's looking pretty strong, but it's finally looking a little bit better here for this Apple trade. You just don't want to get caught in what has been a bad top on every single one of these names. So let us know what you guys are. Will in the chat just said Affirm is high of the day. I gotta be honest, in a day where the market is so choppy, that is not something I would have expected to be breaking out that top. I'm gonna make sure I have Apple on one of my other charts. Look at Affirm for you. Yeah, good 4% for Affirm, but like everything else, it's just recovering a portion. Oh, thank you, that just went. Let's go to my 15-minute chart, which is still up. It's just a portion of yesterday. All it's done is give back the afternoon loss, and it still has another $3 to get to that high. Yeah, so Affirm, great day for it today, but some of that could just be a function of how far it was down, ending at the low of the day yesterday.
So we are, I like Affirm. We talked Robinhood was definitely moving around a bit as well recently, so some different names there to look out for. Look, I mean, the TQs is going for a run. So there we go. So we're out. I was just going to say, like, we're sticking with our guns. So basically a flat trade there. Not really. We did wind up making a little bit, but not great. We were going to short into that level. I think that's worth it. So there's a quick stop out. And it's funny because I was talking with Jackson there, and he was mentioning as well that's good to be, and I think he gets it from our show. He says he watches it all the time, but it was about staying wrong, being wrong, and that's what it was about. And I was like, yeah, part of it is as a trader, you're going to be wrong many times. It's about how bad does that wrong get? And it's if you let this sort of float against you, then all of a sudden, like all the profits or whatever you've had on this trade will evaporate real quick. So, you got to be careful with sort of what you're doing when you're trading and make sure that you do follow some risk parameters. And for me, that was an out right there. Very comfortable making that play. And share sized accordingly, right? And that was another question that he asked. And it was just, when you get into a trade, how do you know how many shares to use? And it was just like, you have to assess the opportunity. And do you think it's a great opportunity? If so, then you sort of want to use a little bit more shares. But it's more about where are you wrong? And that's where I told him that, generally speaking, and this should be true for, this is what I use, doesn't mean that Neil does it or anybody uses it, but it's generally speaking, a rule of thumb for me is the 20 to 25% rule, meaning that if a bad day for me today is going to be $1,000, then I don't want to lose 20 to 25% of that on one trade. So that's where I'll try to base it out. So if I look down here and I say, okay, I'm down $200 on the Qs, I haven't been reading it that well. maybe, another 200 would be my max. So then I would say, okay, if I'm going to go short here, to be wrong up there at 73, if I'm going to lose $200, that's 100 shares or whatever it is. So that's kind of how I use it. And then you always kick yourself, right? Because you never have as many shares on when it's right, and when it's wrong, you seem to have your max position. But that's the art of it all, right? That's not the science, that's the art, where you got to get a feel for what trades you think are going to be the good ones and then stop out where it's appropriate. Like, even though I got stopped out there, I could bang my head on the table, but why? Like, when it comes down, but it's because that's where my risk was, and that's where the parameters that I was looking at judge that stop out. So that's what we're doing, and I just think it's responsible to continue to look at trades that way.
In that light, I'm behooved to show this because... Yeah, that's kind of a school word.
That's a good word.
So check, this is the stock I'm trading in Toronto recently. Like, essentially no range, right? Like, very tight range, market making on it, just get what you can inside that tight range. Tens of thousands of shares are on level 2. So it's like very liquid, but I top wicked it today. And I actually had the discussion with the risk manager. It's like, oh man, I basically punched out of the short at the high of the day for my biggest hit on the stock in the month. And then it came right back in and just settled down to what it was doing. But the reason why that was a good trade was the flip side of it. If I didn't make the punch, and trust me at the time, if I didn't punch then, there was just enough shares for me to get out and maybe a little bit more. If I didn't punch this out and follow my rule and it broke higher, instead of losing what I made yesterday, let's say, on the stock, I actually risked losing what I made in 2 weeks on it. And it's like, if you're not willing to make the top or bottom wick or have an ugly stop out, then you're not willing to risk manage at the end of the day. That's one thing you have to keep in mind. So just wanted to show that. Apple's still going to be, all right, here we go. Apple just confirmed, closed above for the first time. It's just a trend line since the open. It's more of a line of best fit. Just sort of connecting these two, this close, that open, so show that it'll wick above, but you've now firmly closed above it. So the bottom is about 238.25 is the prior bar low. So I think if it loses that, it's an out, or maybe give it to like the 20 level. Yeah, 20s would be a bit of a more reasonable, so you're not just right underneath that bar. But if it breaks 238.20, I'd be out of any long. Looks like it's going to retest these lows. But Apple, one of the few things I can see that is actually strong and breaking out in Mag 7 land. I mean, I had a look over at Meta. I had a look at Google. See if we can get filled up on the bid there. Had a look at both of these names. Like, you're just getting to VWAP on Google. Usually in the afternoon, if the market's over VWAP and the stock is under VWAP, I want to fade it. So that's where I'm looking at Intel, as we said before, and that's getting pretty close to our levels. So looking for that curl here on Intel, and then I would jump into it. Still haven't got filled on Apple yet. Rocket Lab, still the same range. It's trying to press higher this third time we got into it. This time there hasn't been a rollover. Like, breakdown, curl. This time it gets up into here and just kind of still going trend high. So we just stopped out at 20.02, which it's not that big of a move, but keep in mind, this is 12.45 on Rocket Lab. So for 2 hours, it held the same 50-cent range. It gave it to you twice, but now it's breaking higher. So I don't want to fight the stock. I spent all morning fighting this stock, and basically the only reason it isn't my worst stock today is because these shorts were scalped here in Rocket Lab. So still no Apple fill, which it just took another shot to the upside. Might not get the bottom end of this range. I might have to pay up a little bit on Apple. It seems like it's the one breaking out. Relatively solid stock. If you zoom out, Apple 240, if we see that today, is a 50 period on the daily. So I think if we get to that level, regardless, that's kind of like a take profit. And on Friday, I expect to see some size and resistance at 240 if this continues to break out. I'm still trying to pick up Apple off this bid, and then we'll go from there. We're out of Rocket Labs. We're almost at VWAP on AMD and Intel. I'll have to pick which one I want short on. AMD's right at 100. That's a tough choice.
I chose Nvidia. Like, I have a new position right now.
Intel's the one that worked before.
I was looking at Intel. I was thinking about it. I was thinking about both of them.
It dumped yesterday.
So just real quick, I mean, I went short right now, right here, and part of the problem, not part of the problem, part of the reason why, this 55-minute chart right here, you're at the 50-period moving average, and if you're going to look right now, This looks to me like get this garbage out of here, get lower. So if we can do that right from this level, I think it's a good trade for me. So I'm going to go short right into here. Give it a little bit of room. Let's have a look at what this looks like on a 1 minute chart. So I think if you're going to short this rough area, you're already above VWAP, you're already above the 200 period. But if I'm going to play the talk like, hey, this market's going to come back in a little bit, then I do think Nvidia could be primed for that. I do think that it could also run, right? I mean, it's a very funny afternoon because it's been such an aggressive week that I could see a rally here. Actually into the close, which would be completely opposite of some of the stuff that we've been thinking in the past. So, and part of it too is that we got stopped out of our Qs position, and that's starting to go back to the upside a little bit too now. So I do think that if Nvidia rallies, it might be short-lived, but I was going to give it, you know, I don't want to give it to 122. I mean, I think maybe you have to, but I don't know, maybe this little shelf right there, 121.80, something like that. So averaging in a little bit here at 65.70 into this area. I don't know, we're getting close. This is kind of a drawing at straws a little bit here. Maybe this is one where it's deserved of maybe a much tighter stop potentially, whereby you just don't let it get against you. And if it does come back down, that's one thing. I mean, right there, that's O's. So we could put a bid down there. We're short at 19s. Let's put 20% at 05. I know it's not like a huge trade, but maybe it can come back in and then we'll just fill that. And then if we do drip back down through here, then we'll just top it off with the downside push. So I'll be short Nvidia right here, probably giving it to 121.50, right? That's kind of a level right there. So we'll give it to that level, 121.50 for Nvidia. Just draw a line to see what that looks like, 121.50. Yeah, right into there. Okay, so that's not horrible. Yeah, I don't mind this trade. So we'll see. We had it stop out there. It was pretty choppy earlier. Let's give it to the 50-cent mark. Again, an option eligible level into the close on a Friday. Could be something. We'll go short there. So that'll give me about 30 cents of upside for the risk. Hopefully, like I said, that 200 period is sitting down there at O's. So that's 20 cents. Hopefully we can get that and then go a little bit lower. So we'll average this in a little bit at 121.30 and then that will be it. We'll stop the average in and then see where this goes. So yeah. I'm in it. There it is. Did we get that, Phil? Oh, no, we're at 05. Yeah. Wow, Neil, we're pretty good here today. So far, anyways. Let's see if we can keep the momentum going. Nice play there on Nvidia, looking like it wants to get down. So far, so good right there.
Yeah, we just got the short.
That was good.
The long into Apple, the short into Intel off that 2370.
And it
just very quickly, someone mentioned in the chat, where did the Rocket Lab position go? I did mention it if you missed it. Look, it just broke. It basically barely broke this local high, so I got out of the trade when it did. It's not moving a heck of a lot, so the third reload wasn't doing anything great for us anyways at that moment. It could still maybe go back under and give us another shorting opportunity in Rocket Lab. So almost said AMD.
Something's going on with
Apple just
the market.
Apple just pulled back a little bit, now right back to the highs. Yeah,
okay, well,
Tesla just jumped to 290. I was just looking up. Hey, even Intel got a little bit of a wick on it. Some volume coming into the market up at the top. So we bought the dip here in Apple. Let me finish the thought. Have an offer at the high of the day. Every even dollar counts on Apple. And then when I zoom out, this was the last run on Apple yesterday. It died off of the 239.5 level. So we're long here at 238.5. If it breaks out that top, I think it's a reasonable spot to look for the highs. It's been very, very choppy.
What the hell just happened?
So like this is one of those, I don't know, I saw some levitation. Tesla looked like it moved the most on all of my charts.
Nvidia just ripped up 50 cents, and we actually got stopped out and back into it because of that move. So let's just wait. So there we go. We were just like, oh, wow, that's a good trade. And then, like, bang, stopped out, averaged back, got it back in again. We only punch out 75%, but wow, crazy move right there for Nvidia, eh? That was nuts. I don't know, the futures just all of a sudden started to levitate upside. I am getting a little bit, Sean in a little bit, but like we said, when we were in that trade, we weren't sure of what exactly levels we were going to be playing off of, but here it comes back down. So we're short at 54. We got stopped out, and I was like, no, I didn't see any news, so we punched right back in. Doesn't mean it's the right trade. I'm going to put another bid here at 41. Maybe we get it, maybe we don't. Maybe, yes, we do. We get it right now. Okay. So far, so good. We're at a 10%. Let's see if it goes higher. We'll give ourselves a 10-cent stop because that's the best. Here we go. Come on. Bring it on down. We're bidding 32s. Can we get a 32 bid, please? And thank you for 20 cents, if that would be there. It is. Yes, sir. Okay. So again, again, stopped out there on that run up. We just got right back in, and that's, we're not trading with a huge amount of shares here, so it's not going to be the end of the world, but quickly in and out there for Nvidia. Strange movements, man. I know you were just looking at Apple. What about JP Morgan? Some of these bank names. Wasn't that 257 yesterday we were looking at it? Take a look at that. Yeah, down there, 258, maybe it was today. Nice little downside play. We talked about that. I think it was...
We're talking about XLF.
It wasn't Raider Trader. Michael Noss talked about, looking maybe elsewhere in some of the different sectors. And we'd indicated XLE was one that was sort of holding up as well as XLF. So that's the financials. Look at JP Morgan again. Good little take, right? 280 down to 260. That's a pretty aggressive move. So that would be a good buy there. And if you look, that's a 50-period moving average simple on the daily, and it's been really good. It spent about 2 weeks underneath there. I think that's what a lot of people are thinking. I'd rather buy this thing around 250, but for right now, the financials not looking horrible in and around these levels. Come on, Nvidia, man. What do you want to do here?
I don't like the financials right at these highs. Like, I like them. I shouldn't say that. I mean, XLF was one of my picks this year. And I did buy it once, but like at these tops, I don't know that I like it. I feel like another dip buy could be in play for that. I wanted to show maybe this will work after I close it and open it again. Apple's in the same range. Yeah, no. Missing some data on the AMD, but obviously it didn't halt for a while because I was trading it, you can see. But AMD just burst through VWAP here, burst through $100 as well, so you're starting to get some real strength come into AMD. There's not even a red candle since this 99 bottom. So there's definitely, like I said, there's definitely some strength out there as we get a little bit of a push to the upside. You already talked about Nvidia.
Nvidia blew up.
SMCI, load. This one will be fine. SMCI notably underneath VWAP and still looking.
Let's just switch
check
long.
that.
Just switch long.
No, this one's. I have a few of the charts doing this. I'm gonna have to go to my e-signal chart for a couple of these, especially for VWAP, because VWAP will be wrong when I'm missing this data from about like 9:30 to 10. That's all high volume time. So ignore VWAP on that chart. Unfortunately, at least the Apple chart's fine. It's still holding above the top end of the range. If it bounces off of this prior high, 238.30, goes down, bounces off it, that's a reload, and continue to play the trend. At least for now, it looks like it's holding above the top of this trend line. But keep in mind, this was looking at this time yesterday. This was Apple at this time yesterday. At the high of the day, higher lows all the way through, and then we dropped $5. So if you lose this top again, I would expect you could have a reversal that takes us into VWAP, because that's what the market generally has been doing. So SMCI could get it there. We're at VWAP and short VWAP on Intel. It's about the same level that it rolled over. But again, if this breaks out over VWAP like AMD did, I'll jump right out of Dodge. If it closes this candle underneath, I think that's a reasonable place to be able to add to it. And now AMD's starting to get back underneath 100. Okay, so AMD's coming back underneath that 100 level. Intel creeping underneath as well. We'll see if we can't get some 68s in here. And then put some bids down in the low 60s, got a bid in front of 50 already, and then go from there. So Intel holding underneath VWAP. AMD back under as well, which looks pretty good. So if the chips can all start to go in concert, this can decently.
Yeah, for sure. Good trade. Good look. I mean, I think we got to look at the right spot. That's what it's about. All right, so Los Polos Hermanos. Sean, it feels like your share size is much higher at open than around closing time. That's true. We talked about that the other day. I just feel more confident trading at the open, although we were able to battle back from the open. We made some mistakes earlier on some of those opening trades. But yeah, for sure, a little bit higher. But, not yesterday. Like, we had that big TQs play yesterday, which was more than the Qs I've had so far today. Like, we had a big one on last night. But as far as messing around with Nvidia, you can see what's just happened right there. I mean, I can look at my net. We will be red after all of this, but just giving back a little bit. Just too choppy. It's like we were short, was money there, ripped up, came back in, got some fills, then just took out the high, ran the high of the day only to fall back in where we'd be in the money still 15 cents. But instead, we got stopped out for a 10-cent loser, right? So it's just more choppy right now until you find something. That's why I said about the futures, still willing to put on the same shares as I would have at the open, but it's got to get to an area that you like. Otherwise, you're just sort of banging your head up against something, which is why I look over at some of these alerts, like, Netflix alerting here. So let's just go have a quick look to see what Netflix, see something, there's Oracle maybe moving around. Netflix is a tricky one. Obviously, it's just alerted here. High of the day scanner up to 978. So, that could have been something here. Boeing, Intel moving around in a 5-period moving average. Boeing the same way there. Oracle, all of that, right? So I'm trying to find out for the better opportunities that are kicking around. Maybe could have chose Intel instead of Nvidia. Like, look what Nvidia is doing now. We were just short. Like, it's maddening. We would be flat on the stock, but instead we're down because we got stopped out. Like, scalping like this with minute charts at 255, it's not great. So the style does definitely change into the afternoon. I was looking long in Intel, not short, right? And so, right now, I thought maybe a break back above all these lines, but you could just see how choppy it's been for a minute. Someone in the chat said we're doing too much Intel. Why not look at Microsoft? Go ahead, yeah.
I don't know, just some comments from JP.
Apple's moving around now?
Jamie Dimon, almost said JP Morgan. No, Jamie Dimon talking about more inflationary pressures that he is seeing. I kind of feel like Jamie Dimon's he's been awfully bearish lately. For dude whose stock has been killing it, he's been very, very tentative and very bearish
this guy
for the last little bit. But, he knows his stuff.
All right. Apple maybe is a short.
So anyways, that is neither here nor there. It doesn't seem like it's moving. It's certainly not going to move JP Morgan stock. That's for sure. But I haven't gotten any fills down around the 60 level. But if you can see, come to my chart for a second. There we go. You can see here, we break this 75. It's the same area, maybe a couple of cents lower where I had the stop when we had this short before. But if it's going to hold on to this VWAP, then I want to be in the south side of the trade. So we'll see where it goes from here. But yeah, the market is tracking towards the high. What's crazy is we said at the beginning of this that energy is relatively strong. And then, this one too. And then didn't go and look at it. XLE is double top today, double top yesterday at these levels and potentially breaking out. And that's with oil futures closing. Pretty much now. 3 o'clock.
Yeah, 3 o'clock. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so just quickly here. So I'm going to just looking for an opportunity again, right? We'll put on a 1-unit play rate here. We'll probably go to 3 or 4 units if we get to that high. Apple, very, very choppy. Trend has definitely been your friend. I think that with the futures doing what they're doing right now, Apple's following the NASDAQ. Maybe we do get a little bit of a retracement play back in here. So I'm going to try to see what's going on right now with Apple and actually play this move off of 2383. So I'm going to stop out if we break through 239 and change. I want to give this one a little bit more room. We'll start the offering rate here. See if we do get that push back down in, right? I mean, we've hit 50 periods before on this name. I still do want to stick with the idea of being short into the afternoon. I know the NASDAQ's up, but again, nice move away from VWAP. We've retraced back in. There's a nice move down. There's a retracement. There it is. There it is. We should be able to fall back down a little bit, and we know Apple can do that. So we'll stay away from Nvidia. Nvidia reported yesterday, 2 days ago, and they were down 9% yesterday. So let's just stick with Apple here. Apple's been giving it back a little bit underneath the 50-period moving average. And I just think it's going to be a little more steady, more consistent, and less volatile than an Nvidia. So we'll play that. Like, we just had 10 cents. We didn't take it. We're not going to do that. I do have a bid down there at 33s to try to take 20 cents. I think that's more reasonable. So let's see if we can get a push down into that level and then maybe a short coming. So there it is right now for Apple. That's going to be a good one. Like, this is the frustrating thing about Nvidia, right? Like, still not doing anything. And if you're long, you might look to get longer on your support. And if you were short, you could have been short right there. So it's like a 30-cent range or so in there. And I kind of played both sides of it wrong. So we'll wait to see what's going on right there. Oxy, I just got a tick on that. Yeah, that's up there at 48 and change as well. What are you guys looking at? I did not buy any Big Bear AI today. We bought at 6, then we bought it, I think it was like maybe 540 or so. I think our average price around 570. I'll double check. I said I'd do that. I can just log into the account and do that in a minute. Not moving around right now too much at all. Big Bear AI does go down to that 480 level. I do think that with a lot of runners like this, especially names that can get going, you always want to look at the pre-markets to see what these levels are, right? And I mean, I'm not making this up just for the sake of making it up. This is what we look at. You could see we might have to get some shorter here in Apple. But there's the break of the pre-market high of Big Bear at $5. Look at that. That's the hold. There's the break. It goes up 10 cents, comes right back, holds it, straight upside since then. Same thing there with the close, with the low. it comes right in there, bounces right off the pre-market bottom, holds it, and then straight upside. So these are some little things that you want to look at here in the market as we go on. So that's a little bit of a trade there for Big Bear AI. And right now, I think you want to look at this $5 as a holding spot. You've come back in. If it does that again, could be a decent hold there for BBAI. So, yeah, just a little something to look at there for Big Bear and see if there's any possibilities to trade that back down into $4. Okay, look what's happening.
Okay.
Yeah, Apple's ripping. So there you go. So it looks like we'll lose here too. Go.
So my 3-minute is still having issues with AMD and a couple of individual names. So I'm just going to use the 15-minute chart. But you can still kind of see the level in here. 110. We were just over under on the 3-minute 3 times. So I want to make sure, like, you see me in AMD, and then it just broke that local high, so it jumped out. So, you know, what we're up in Apple right now is what we just lost in AMD. There was a halt, which I just noticed that one of my halt indicators isn't really working. But then I pulled up the symbol. It was like 500,000 in volume on the day. So I don't see a heck of a lot in terms of small cappers that are, you know, giving us any juice, let's just say. I'd like to see if there's halters in the afternoon, just anything that might be moving. Apple is... It just attempted the break again of the high. It's so wicky, if that's even a word. You know what I mean, right? Like it seems like any time you take out a top, you get all like top wicks or like see that kind of rejection. Like it's trying to go higher, but it's just not doing much. It was doing this all day long. There's just not a very clean, like it's trending up, but it's not explosive when it breaks the high of the day. So we'll see if it can get to that 239.5. Where I think it's an out. Explosive. The other thing you got to keep in mind, one of the reasons I think it's an out, there's your 50 period on the daily on Apple. So I think this is a move from one station to the next. And Corey in the chat, small caps are dead for some reason. I mean, it's Friday. I can't think of a good reason other than that. Usually you'll have small cappers moving all the time. And when I find we're not getting these great clear moves, and the bigger names, I want to be looking at something that's going. Like I'd love for a GME to be moving, or a Big Bear, or a Rigetti. We haven't even talked about Rigetti all week. You know it's bad. Actually, I shouldn't say that because I haven't looked. But you know it's bad for those types of stocks if we haven't even looked at them all week. So yeah, Intel just broke VWAP. So the short underneath VWAP on Intel just came out that 75 level. So really, it's just the Apple long trying to go here. Darwin. Shot penny has been moving today. Shot's an actual stock.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say I don't even know where they're going.
No, I mean, first I thought maybe he mistyped Shopify. I mean, come on, man, this isn't moving. It's done 500,000. You must mean something else there, Darwin. It's done 500,000 shares, whatever it is. There is no shot that that's tradable. 500,000 shares on a penny stock. You wouldn't want to make a keystroke error in this thing.
I see what you did.
Spent a month getting out.
I see what you did.
By the way,
that trading shot. I see.
Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if that was restricted for us here at Real Trading. That is so illiquid that I promise you we probably shouldn't even be allowed to trade it. Highly illiquid name. We're not
might not be allowed.
I guarantee you. So first of all, something just happened. I was sitting on the offer at 239.5, and it just pumped right into that level. So we got the long at the $0.50, just came into our target level.
Whoa. Trade?
I know I said this looks like a reversal for short. I'm feeling this might not be a short. I think we'll just get out and not look for the short trade here in Apple at that level. Maybe buy the next available dip. Just to finish that thought, at Real Trading, if a name has so little average daily volume, it'll be blocked company-wide. And then you need to put in a request. Why is it in play today? Why is it going to have liquidity? And it's just another risk control that we have here. So that you don't go over to something like that SHOT stock and then try to make something happen when it's got no liquidity and then get absolutely burned with all your buying power, because it can happen. So Apple, I'm not shorting it off this level. I think even buying some dips is going to make some sense in Apple. I'm going to start to look at what else could be a reversal. Intel VWAP could have been a reversal. I want to buy the dip here on Apple. Jamlosi says Orgo. But I'm thinking maybe Tesla could be a good long. It's been pretty strong as well. Ooh, right up at the top.
Yeah, we're in a 30-cent winner as well. We did exactly what you just mentioned there. We just reversed our thought. Okay, there it is. We got 27s. Okay, good. So we're long AMD, breaking right through that $100 mark. So I was just like, forget it, man. The futures seem to want to do this. like we're getting close to maybe thinking about stopping ourselves out of this futures play. We're not in the futures, but if it gets up here, then maybe, you know, with your app, or you're out of Apple now, but, you know, the futures, I don't know how much further we're going to have to go, but let's just play this, man. We're over the 50 period. We're over the 200 period. So I just flipped up the mentality there and started to go long. So we just went long. So, and again, losing, remember our Nvidia play? It was the same kind of way here where we just got danced back and forth, a little bit of loss, a little bit of a win. So right now we're trying to ride AMD upside a little bit. We're out of half of it already. It did go our first out was 20 cents, and then we've just got some 27s and 28s. So far so good. I'm actually going to put another piece out right now. And just as you had mentioned there, or someone had mentioned in the chat about, you know, what kind of share size trading here in the afternoon, it is going to be less, and I don't have a problem telling everybody that. I mean, it's the truth. So yeah, I don't trade with as many shares here at the close as I would do at the open. So for right now, though, we'll try to build a little bit of a position, and if it comes back in, then we will add to it. So right now, that's what I'm looking at into this stock, and that, of course, is going to be AMD. I think there is some upside move potential in it. Just looking at where we've been already today, $100.60. If we're going to say that the futures are going to top out, then maybe that would be a good spot where we look to get some more out. So we'll hold on to it right now. 25 cents in the money on AMD, buying it off of VWAP resistance. So that's worked out. An offer up here. Maybe we'll put an offer at 50 in case we really get going. So let's go to like 44, 45. We'll put an offer right there, and then hopefully be able to get a top move back into somewhere like 101, 101.20. Look, man, if you think it can go there, it can. It would make sense that we can get there. Futures look like they want to break higher. AMD should work out a little bit here. $100 key level. Let's see if it holds it. That's exactly where we're long. I think this is going to be a good trade. We're now just minutes. I say minutes, but it's really like about a half hour. Yeah, about a half hour away. We are now in power hours. So that's a good call for sure. But these imbalances are going to get spicy. Look at the size of these already. Coming into the. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I just saw that too. And for you to already have that many over the million, like well over the million share mark, and it's only 3 o'clock, yeah, in the back of my mind, there's a few names that I'm looking out for. Enphase is one of them. CrowdStrike is another. It's supposed to be sell Enphase, buy CrowdStrike. MicroStrategy as well could be something to look at. So at 330, closer to 330, the attention could shift a little bit. I know Enphase was at the lows of the day, which is not ideal. I don't like things that are supposed to be sells or deletes if it's already at the low of the day. It tends to not be as cool. I'd love it to rally with the market here. So Apple's still at the same range where it was when we got out, but it's not really dipping off as well. So probably a good decision not to reverse into the short at yesterday's resistance. I don't necessarily want to buy the top. I'll give it a chance. Like it hasn't even closed trying to break that high, the local high. And Tesla's no longer moving. So that's kind of died down a little bit here on Tesla. Is that was cruising like it was going to make a high of the day break and maybe go a little parabolic off the 93, but it's just started to slow down. So the tape is decreased there on Tesla. Yeah, just going to maybe be patient for the next available play. See if Apple lets us in another time, or we can find something else that's going. I see Duolingo might be moving, or IonQ. We didn't even go over Duolingo. That's a weird one because it was pretty...
They reported.
Yeah, it's that kind of a day where Duolingo didn't get any press from us. And unless you were short like right away at the open, there wasn't a heck of a lot you could do with it. They're down 16%. It's trying to claw a little bit of it back, but yeah, it was pretty nasty for Duolingo. And we can't cover everything, but yeah, it was probably a missed one to talk about because it did bounce off some pretty hefty support there at the 310 level. I don't see a trade on it, like 50-cent spread. Volume's not doing anything right now on Duolingo, but this is why you zoom out the chart. Heck, if you like Duolingo, you've been trying to get into it, maybe you let it settle down for a couple of days and hold this $300 level. But I hate things on the first day that they lose a major moving average. It just broke the 50 period. I absolutely do. I never want to buy like that first day that it loses the big major moving average, especially after earnings. I think you let that settle down, in my opinion, on Duolingo. And I don't know the fundamentals either. I couldn't tell you what their PE. I'd have to look it up to be able to do that. But that's easily done. My guess is, like everything else, it's probably a little expensive on a PE basis. It's just a guess.
Yeah. I'd say Duolingo, yeah, for sure. All right, so just real quickly as we look at some of these imbalances, I mean, it's important to sort of understand what they mean. These are going to get activated as of 350. So that's when they become public knowledge. So, you know, the action that's sort of happening right now, there's a lot of traders, you might be looking at it and saying like, wow, why aren't they just going short on Mosaic here? Because there's a 7 million share imbalance, right? The volume today is only 8 million. So if this stays at 350 and it's getting closer and closer to becoming public and when the actual orders will fill out, if this is a big number that shows up, yeah, man, it's gonna be a crazy trade. So I think you just wanna wait to see what winds up happening here into the close with something like some of these imbalances. As we get closer to 350, then we'll be able to see like GM with a nice little buy. So let's see what that stock is actually doing right now. Down, up a little bit, trending a little bit higher, right? So looks like they're getting ready to buy this stock maybe into the close. So we'll just get a much better look as we get closer and closer to the to the 350, and then some of these will activate and we'll be able to be all excited about it, and we'll sort of go from there. So they're all brokers. So those are the brokers that are sitting there on the floor of the NYSE. And again, who we deal with, our broker actually goes around. I'm sure it's electronic, but they used to just like write down, you could see on the big board, okay, this is the open imbalance interest, right? And so right now there is 7 million shares to sell at close for Mosaic, and Pfizer same way. There's 4 million shares to buy at the close for Pfizer, right? And so as those numbers come closer and closer to 4 o'clock, the buyers and the sellers will meet and then hopefully be able to pair it off, which is this PV column. And then once that paired off, so right now so the total was about 8 million shares, 7.6 million. Half of them have already been, someone put their hand up and said, I'll take, my firm will take 4 million of those shares. So regardless of what the closing price is, they don't want to impact. Like if you throw 4 million shares right now in the book, no matter which way you're looking, you're going to impact that price.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why they say at the end of the day, let's just leave it to the machines to pair off our order. So they'll just say, okay, the closing price of Pfizer right now is 26.12. So 3 million shares for you short, 3 million shares for you long, paired off, boom. Quite a transaction fee, I imagine, on that. And everybody's settled with limited to no market impact. The problem is that right at the close, what if this buy is still there? Then all of a sudden, this order for Pfizer for 4 million shares needs to be filled.
And
because it's a guaranteed fill. Yeah. So that will create, all of a sudden that order will start wiping out the offer. They'll say, okay, I need 3 million shares. I'll take 50,000 here, 50,000 there, 50, and it just starts to wipe it off. The good thing about what our market is right now is there's not that much impact. With high frequency trading,
it's more efficient.
4 million shares can get eaten up pretty quickly. So
speaking of millions of shares, I know you don't have Amex on yours or...
Well, I do, but I just don't have it highlighted.
NYC,
I see FXI right now.
FXI is actually the top of the list is FXI, which it's been there before, but 8 million is a little bit bigger than normal. So this is worth tracking. The day that we saw FXI actually go crazy at the close, it was in this range. It was closer to 10 million in volume. Another thing to keep in mind when you're watching these is what is the volume on, like what's the actual liquidity on this relative? So it's 7.7 million shares paired to 5.5. That's 13 million open interest, and more than half of it is going to be imbalanced. It's on 38 million on the day. So you're talking about a closing interest of currently a third of the day. That's one of the factors I'll look at, not just the notional value, like how big is it in dollar terms. Obviously, 7 million on a $35 ETF is a pretty decent chunk, but I want to see what it is relative to the volume on the day. All right, Apple, if this is the only pullback that we're going to get, like it just tried to break under the prior high here, 239, like 15, 16 around there, and just a little bit of a bottoming tail wick. If it ends up closing this bar, it could be another consolidation entry. I wanted to find a spot where we could give it a little bit more. It's just not a very, very clean setup. And I hate being long a stock at the end of the day when the market's at the top, when it's at the top, and it's got like an overhead resistance that mattered either, the day before or in the pre-market. I'm having trouble. It's just I don't like that kind of a long trade. It doesn't mean I want to short it, but it just doesn't give you a lot of wiggle room, to be honest with you. Like something off VWAP when the market looks like it could be curling here, that would seem to be better. Like I'd like to buy on support if we're going to pull back from the high of the day. So that brings me back over to something like an SMCI. Why? Because SMCI can't seem to break out this range. Now, I've already mentioned missing some data, so ignore VWAP in there. It's not going to matter, but I don't think you need VWAP to tell this story. Since the afternoon, 41.5 has been resistance. It's got a pretty decent, oops, I don't have my trend line drawn. It's got a pretty decent higher low set in and is breaking the trend as we speak. So if Apple, sort of talking myself out of going into it again at these highs, SMCI is breaking trend when it closes this bar underneath, which it just did. I'm going to take a shot there. So kind of go back to the well with more of a standard, I don't want to chase this. What am I offering? Oh, I'm offering 21s. Why am I offering 21s? Rookie move right there, everybody. See this entry here? This is 41.20, and then the prior bar opens underneath it. So you want to be offering in the teens, and I was on the north side of 41.20. So did not get filled on this trend break. I don't want to chase it too far, so just went half the size because I'm now trying to chase it. But I want to see if I can get picked up, give to the prior bar high, which is kind of the standard play for something along this line. So that'll be 41.30 as my out. Hence why I don't want to chase it too far to the downside. So I'll go for the trend break here on SMCI. But again, don't want to get too far out of pocket chasing this move to the downside. Apple not doing a heck of a lot. Tesla, which I still have up. I basically have SMCI, Apple, Tesla. I still have Intel up from earlier. That's not doing a heck of a lot. But Tesla not really moving much. Should get into SMCI if the market's coming higher. Apple just chilling out and not doing much for you. So let me know what else is moving, everybody. Mezcla just says SMCI is dead to me. I get it. It's been a rough time since they reported for SMCI. And I think we missed a super chat. I'm sorry about that, Nimrod. I just noticed this now. Are there any signs that help determine whether a market crash like last week will turn into a major correction style 2022 or something more short term like August, November 23? Well, we ain't going to have a 2022 without a major move in the VIX. So if it was that simple, trust me, like I'd give you a better answer. It's not that simple, but you're not going to get like a major correction style like a bigger move without the VIX getting elevated. You know, like let's see it in the mid 20s. Let's see it break 30, right? Like that's the kind of thing. So that's where I would look. It's usually a pretty good indicator as to how bad things can be getting. And when things settle back down, that's when you tend to see the upward move start coming back in. So yeah, I mean, I would just look at the VIX there, Nimrod. For lack of a better term. Obviously pay attention to, like major support on some of the indexes and stuff like that. But yeah, VIX.
I was just thinking about, I ran into Matteo there. He said he asked me, what do I think about fixed income? And I was like, you know what, honestly, I've never really even owned anything fixed income. Like, I do agree that it's probably better than sitting in cash. But like, I don't know. I don't have any. You have any GICs or anything?
I've used them in the past.
Have you? Yeah. I don't know. So I was just saying. And then he said, what about the rule of 125? And that is where you go 125 minus your age will tell you how much equity you're supposed to be holding in a portfolio. So I said, okay, I'm 30. So 125 minus my, so
95%.
Oh yeah, look at this. By the way, I want to show you that to you. This is not working, this graphic. Yeah. I actually noticed that on the midday show when I was there with Jackson.
I thought it was a new effect or something.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. It's one of those ones that's not rendering properly. But no, it was 125 minus your age is like just one of those like rule of thumb type of thing. I don't know what people think about that in the chat or not. But so I'm 45, so 125 minus my age. So basically, I'm starting to get into that area now where I'm supposed to be putting in something into GICs or T-bills or...
I should preface the whole fixed income thing. So I have used it twice. One time was like for real estate purposes. Like I knew, anyways, I had a condo that was ridiculously delayed. And once I had an idea of when it was going to be, I put some money into it. I put a chunk into a GIC just to...
Well, you want the money there.
Yeah, essentially just wanted the money there. That's the only time that I've ever had a GIC that was more than 2% of my net worth. So like I've used, but like it's always been so small, with the exception of that situation. I knew I needed the chunk for the down payment, so I just wanted that safety. And
that's a good point it's called like bridge financing.
Yeah, and when you buy a condo pre-construction, which I had that experience with early, for anyone that's young out there, you have to mentally prepare yourself for the old delays. I don't think I did properly. My mom was a real estate agent, and she warned me, hey, you're buying this when they had the big thing and it's not even done yet. Delays happen, so understand that you could get wrapped up. You might still have a good price, but you might not actually be living in this sucker when they tell you. And that was one thing that I learned that lesson, even though I'd been warned. I don't want to say the hard way because it wasn't the end of the world for me. Like, I had no trouble finding like a place to rent or not, but it was a lot more aggravation than it needed to be if I had just mentally prepared myself for the fact it could be 2.5 years delayed.
Yeah, I mean, there it is. Look, this is the thing, like Molfar in there on the chat is like, GICs suck. I have 90K in GICs in 4 years. It got me 3,000. Well, it didn't get you minus. I mean, that's the whole point is that, and I said to Mateo, you're closer to retirement. And it was just kind of like, and I actually said this with, I keep dropping the kid's name. Maybe I should stop saying it. But he was asking me about investing and day trading and all that kind of stuff. And it's just like, if you're closer to retirement, then you may not want to be. I use the example of GameStop just to go to the next level. It's like you might not want to have because he understood how that was moving. You might not want to have GameStop as like a number one holding of yours if you're 60 or 75 years old, something like that. If you're relying on that income. I'll still probably hold shares like that when we're there just to have some fun, but definitely not a large part of your portfolio.
Can I say one more thing about this whole
AMD just
all these different rules? I heard there was an interview, and it was sometime last year. It was a former Fed member was on CNBC, and I was listening to it in the car. And this is a dude who, if you're a former Fed member, he didn't say how old he was, but if you're a former Fed member, I mean, you're not young. So, obviously, he was at least in his 60s, let's just say. And that guy was in pretty much, he was in all cash and only then considering
Now
ETFs.
the futures go down?
I'm just saying. And these guys know, that's who you'd think would be a little bit more conservative. They know what's up.
Yeah,
they know where you want to be. And I get it. As you get older, you definitely want to be more secure. I had that conversation with my dad when he asked me about Bitcoin. I was just like, Dad, I'm going to hold Bitcoin. What are you going to hold Bitcoin for? No, not at this point. I mean, you want to make you want to make a trade and have some fun. That's one thing. But no, you don't want to. I don't think that the volatility is for anybody that's in their retirement and doesn't want that stress. But yeah, everything has a time and place. I believe in stocks and indices, and that's pretty much it.
Well, I think you got to bet on yourself too, right? I mean, there's going to be a certain amount of time where you're going to actually outlive maybe longer than you think is what I'm saying. Don't just plan to say, okay, well, I need this much money till I'm 80. I mean, you're going to probably live to 95.
Don't talk to Obi, by the way.
You want to, why?
We had the same conversation at the bridge, and Obi's like, yo, we're going to start living to he goes, the person who is going to live to 150 has already been born.
No one's living to 150.
And I was like,
no one's living to 150 who's born right now.
150?
No chance in hell.
The record, what's the record? 120?
You think so, Joe? I mean, I'd love to bet you, but there's no way I can win that bet. The human body cannot live 150
bet
years.
Because you wouldn't figure it out until 100 years from now.
Oh, who cares?
But that's different.
That doesn't make any sense.
So the person that's going to live the longest has already been born. Yeah, I agree with that.
Whatever.
But 150 is 20% higher than what I believe is the Guinness Book. The record is 122. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. That seems a little bit nuts to me.
He'll probably die earlier than he thinks.
Even the guy that will I'll never.
I watched that Brian Johnson. I watched that thing on Netflix.
I haven't seen it.
Look, mad respect for the guy, but live your damn life now. I understand people. We have. I mean, a lot of you guys working out, eating. No. There's one thing about doing things the right way.
Yeah, warm up.
But that show was a little bit nuts. The guy just so regimented that there was just no, and then part of the pushback is you're doing all this to live an extra 5 years, but what about your current lifestyle?
That's my thing.
That it was more than 100 pills a day, I think. Yeah, Fabian's in our ear. There's all these things.
Derrick Henry,
just
if you're a football fan, Derrick Henry, he is very much that regimented, and it's but he's a top performing athlete trying to extend that peak where he can make $15 million a year. I get that if you're doing that. You want to be Mamba mentality, all that stuff. I get it. I'm of that. I can't I admire Sharif and Joe. I stay in shape and I try to work out, but I'm not like those guys. I need something that I'm working for to get to that level, which is one of the reasons why. And I'm going to say it out loud because I talked to my physio guy last night, and the kind of things you have to call yourself out to hold yourself accountable. I am going to do a 5K. I have not run 5K in probably a decade. I'm going to do a 5K sometime in the fall. I can't say when I'm going to do it. If you're just tuning in now, I tore my Achilles. I'm in the midst of recovery from that. So it's one of those things that once I can run, I'll have a better idea of the time frame for this. But that is my goal. My goal is to.
Why only 5K? Come on, man. You got to get a little higher than that. Let's go. Let's start to get 7.5K. What is it for the marathon?
I was a sprinter, but I'm not a distance runner. And I know I'm not a distance runner.
I was trying to give you higher goals.
My wife whooped my butt. My wife she was in Vegas for a conference. And on the first day of the conference started, I think it was on the Monday. She gets on the weekend. So she signed herself up for a 10K run in Vegas because that's how she rolled. And she only got back into running like 6 to 8 months ago. 511 women in her age group, or 507 in her age group, and she comes in 11th. I'm like, yeah. If I try to run a 10K, then I have to train and she'll whoop my butt. I'll tell you that. I'm just not a distance runner. And I don't like doing it either. I don't enjoy running long distances, but.
What's up, SPF?
I want to give myself a challenge. Okay, a little bit of a bounce here happening. There could be like one last salvo. For long, I had been waiting for Apple to make a little bit of a turn. It looks like it's trying to do so in here. It just wicked the 239. If it closes this bar, I think we got one last salvo for a push into the high here on Apple. Not a heck of a lot going on in this market. It was a big pullback just now, and I was sort of favoring the buy the dip. Looks like we're going to get a chance to do it one more time here. Early look on the imbalance is still giving you the same numbers as before, although just going to show you you don't see, what was it? It was, KXI? FXI. FXI is no longer there, but MOS is still there. NU, QBTS, 3.7 million to the sell side. That could be a big one. So watch out for these imbalances. I'm expecting small cappers to be relatively big.
Yeah, we'll indicate those. We have a couple more minutes left until the end of the show. So thank you, everybody, for coming through. Hey, Ozan, I just saw you right there, man. We're still here. Here's the cow for you. Boom. Right there. Okay, what's up, Ozan? All right, let's try to look around. So Bitcoin is right there. So by the way, AMD up and down, couldn't really get this one going either. So we'll just be flat on AMD again as it goes all the way up 30 cents, all the way down 30 cents. So take a hit, take a loss, take a win as you go. So trying to hold something for a bigger move. Look, since we've been on the air, this is why I'm kind of trying to not change the subject, but just talk about different things here. Not much happening. I think you just got to play these peripherals a little bit. So if we do come back down, great. I don't know. What do you guys think, long or short into the close? Right now, there's only a half hour left. And off a very, very volatile week. Obviously, we'll be red this week and not looking very good on the weekly. I mean, this is the NASDAQ chart right here. If we do a little bit of a deeper dive, we started the week, what day does it take? 28, so up here 21. So we were all the way here, 540, all the way down to 5 and change. Could break through right here. That's not bad. So the Qs is 504.70. You still have a little ways to go. What's been happening has been happening, and that's that the market is trying to get back up to these highs. So I do think that if you're interested in a short right now, look, we just should have, part of it is that we get carried away because we're on the show and we're trying to look for some trades. But remember what I said, if you're going to go short anything, it's probably better just to wait for it to get to the highs. Well, if you had done that and not anything like this, then that 73.20, it does give you a nice pullback, almost 70 handles right there from 3 o'clock into 3:30, only to come all the way back up. So this is definitely a bullish sign. What
the hell just happened to Apple? Okay, well, whatever.
Something's happening to Apple? Yeah, so this is what
Tesla.
They're all ripping, yeah. So this is the whole point. I'm thinking long now. Honestly, let's just wait for that to break. Let's break long. I don't know. I don't want people to put in a bunch of risk into this trade, but it kind of, if you flip this upside down, yesterday we nailed the short when this looked like this. Maybe we do get a little bit of a rally back. Oh, I am very excited to announce something. We teased this yesterday. All right. Kind of a polarizing individual, a friend of the show.
Yeah, buddy.
His name starts with a K and ends with an O. Friend of a show, starts with a K, ends with an O.
Let me think about this.
And his name is Kevin O'Leary, and he will be with us on confirmed right there. It is next Friday at 10 a.m. So look, this guy, very, very opinionated. Crypto, obviously, is a big topic that he likes to talk about. Tariffs. I mean, we had this guy back on COVID, and we asked him about energy. He liked energy then, and that absolutely ripped up. It was when energy basically went negative. We talked to him about that since then. So we're going to find out. Kevin O'Leary, I think it's going to be via Zoom.
Yes.
So, but the last time he was here, he was in the building.
Which
so
was really cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. He's been in here about 3 or 4 times, so he'll be coming through Zoom. So next Friday, so a week today, we'll have Kevin O'Leary on here, and we'll just talk about everything, man. We'll shoot the shit. We'll talk about different things about President Trump, maybe that Zelensky exchange we can talk about. Yeah, anything like that. He has his O shares and everything like that. So we're really excited to be having Kevin O'Leary with us next week. But without any further ado right now, we do have 3:30 right here. So with a half hour left, we're going to go quickly over to Brendan and check out who he's talking about.
Yes.
All right, thanks, guys. Yeah, happy to have Ryan Iverson back with us, portfolio manager, CEM Partners Fund, to talk a little bit about what we started a conversation with him last week on, which was their latest live event that took place at Whistler going back a week ago, the Investor Research Conference, we'll call it. We'll bring in Ryan here and get a breakdown of how things went. Talk about some of the picks here, Ryan, which I'm super excited about, and I think everyone watching will be super excited about as well. First off, how was your weekend at Whistler?
Good to see you again, Brendan. Yeah, the event was a success. We had 56 companies attend, and we've had tremendous feedback throughout the week from the investors who came out. The investor breakout session, which has been the focus here, was a success as well. And I think it's important just really quickly to reiterate for any new viewers exactly what that is. We've been running these events for 15 years, 6 or 7 events. They're one-on-one meetings with top investors around North America. And we really wanted to find a way to democratize the top ideas from each event. So each event has around 1,000 meetings, and we get everyone into a room after all the investors. And these investors are all professionals who represent hundreds of their clients. So it comes with some weight, and we get their top picks. And we've been releasing those top picks throughout last year just to test it out. And what we found is those top 5 picks on average returned about 40%. So we're excited about this year and the opportunities that we're going to be providing through the investorbreakout.com newsletter.
Yeah, right off the bat, guys, the link for the sign-up page in the chat, if anyone's looking for it, it's also in the description of this video. So jump down to the description and find that link, and you can sign up for the Investor Breakout newsletter. So, I mean, let's get right into it. I mean, I think one of the key talking points here is, we touched on it last week a little bit, but this conference was primarily made up of mining companies. But on that, I'm hearing Ryan and confirm for me that some of these picks were not necessarily in that sector.
That's correct. I believe there was a 60% weighting to mining and natural resources, which is typical of our Whistler event. But I mean, what this shows is in the top 5 picks was 4 out of the 5 were other sectors. So it really shows the diversity of companies that do attend these events. And, you always expect the unexpected at these events. And it really shows you these investors are really looking for timely ideas. And as much as we thought there'd be more resource companies in the top 5, it was quite spread out amongst a variety of industries.
All right, we're going to give everyone 2. And if anyone wants the rest, they know what to do. Go again, guys, down to the description, grab that link.
Investorbreakout.com.
Yeah, and it'll be in the chat here as well coming up. So make sure we sign up for the rest of the newsletter here. But talk me through, I'm just reading here, TSXV, Stardust Solar Energy, the first one here, which is SUN on the Venture Exchange.
Yes, SUN. It's trading at around 13 million market cap in Canadian. They are North America's largest solar franchisor. So they have 78 territories throughout North America. They just bought out their biggest competitor in the US in December. And what they provide is residential and light commercial solar installations. That's important because the margins in that area are 25 to 30% versus the commercial industry, which is only 5%. And this is a booming industry. Only 2% of Canadian households have solar, 6% in the US. The Department of Energy has estimated by 2030 that would go up to 15%. So you're going to see some hyper growth in the next 5 years and then some sustained growth thereafter. What was really interesting, and I never even thought about it before, was, with energy, there's inflation and energy costs keep going up, but the sun is inflation free. So as the grid gets more and more overpowered through AI, robotics, electrification, it's going to be needed to be subsidized somehow. And so you're going to see this sector in solar installations really go up over the next 5 years.
All right, before we get to number 2 here, just confirm, is this in order that we're going through, or is there any ranking?
I forget off the top of my head, but these are top 5 for sure, out of the 56 companies.
Okay, so you do go in ranking format.
Yes,
kind of thing.
yes,
Right.
yeah.
Okay,
So what we
gotcha.
do, we have a ranking system, so everyone knows when they're filling out their cards that there's more weight to the number 1 than there is number 5, and so throughout that whole event, we're able to come up with these results pretty quick.
Gotcha. Okay, so Stardust, number 1, which again is SUN on the TSX Venture Exchange, Stardust Solar Energy Incorporated. Number 2, which also has an OTC listing, OTCQB, which is SABOF, is going to be Sabio Holdings Incorporated. Also a venture listing, SBO here in Toronto. Again, OTCQB, SABOF. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, Sabio Holdings, around 35 million market cap in Canada. They are a market leader in the ad-supported streaming TV space, otherwise called CTV, connected TV advertising. I don't know about you, Brendan, but I got another email with Netflix raising my rates. And so people are going more and more towards advertising streaming because it's free or a lot less costly. And what Sabio does is they offer technology, distribution, and data analytics. So they provide reach, they provide engagement and validation. And they've attracted such global brands as Starbucks, Toyota, McDonald's, a whole slew of companies that are international. And to get to some of the metrics that make it quite compelling is 85% of their revenue is reoccurring. They have a 5-year 39% revenue CAGR. They have a healthy adjusted EBITDA of 7-8%. And what I find the most intriguing is they trade at a 0.6 multiple of next year's revenue, whereas most of their peers are in the 4.2 to 4.8 range. So there's huge potential for a re-rate there.
And when it comes to, we'll talk a little bit about the entire list here, but when it comes to maybe an overall feeling here on the market, what did you get out of the conference as far as where people are maybe leaning? We've been talking a lot in the past couple of days even about how, we sat in this market for many, many years looking at 7 stocks essentially leading the way. Yeah. And it seems like, under the hood, things have started to change. Was there maybe a theme that kind of jumped out and surprised you a little bit as far as what people were looking at?
Yeah, I mean, I've been seeing sort of this theme change, I'd say mid to end of last year, where investors are really starting to look at value in terms of, what companies are actually revenue producing versus pre-revenue. Like, you'll see a couple of companies that have that inflection point that go from pre-revenue to revenue, and they definitely get some attention. But from the picks that we saw this past weekend, it's companies that have been around. Also that companies that are in like high growth industries that just haven't been recognized yet by the market. So you have these lower market caps that have tremendous potential versus looking at the Magnificent Seven, where you have these high multiples that are, any type of growth slowdown, as we're seeing in the last, month or two here, definitely, affect the stock price.
All right. Once again, for anyone interested, the Investor Breakout newsletter, guys, the link in the chat, in the description right now. Go sign up for it. We'll give you 2 only. You're going to have to go sign up for the other 3. Again, number 1, SUN, Stardust Solar Energy Incorporated. Number 2, SBIO, or on the OTCQB, SABOF, which is Sabio Holdings Incorporated. Ryan, I'm excited already for the next event. Tell us a little bit about what we can expect in your mind maybe coming up the rest of the year.
For sure. We'll be in Scottsdale, I believe, the third weekend of April. So we'll be live down there. And then we go to beautiful Bermuda in June. And then we'll be in Kelowna, which we partnered with the TSX for the TSX Venture 50. And then we'll be ending the year off in Muskoka, just outside of Toronto there.
Beautiful, beautiful vacationing to come throughout the remainder of the year. Investor Breakout newsletter, guys, go grab that right now. Ryan Iverson, Portfolio Manager, CEM Partners Fund. Great stuff as always, Ryan. It was an exciting couple of weeks here. We'll look forward to the next one.
Thanks, Brendan. Have a good weekend.
You too.
All right, so I've already cleared the schedule, Ryan. I'm good to go for June.
Let's go.
I heard that Bermuda, so that's all good. We're ready to go.
Won't need that vest in there.
We'll rock and roll down there. But no, Muskoka is beautiful. Kelowna. Thank you so much. I mean, great idea there. Get all those minds together. Give some picks, especially some ones that are a little bit off the cuff, right? As Brendan had mentioned there, everybody wants all the big names. Look, a lot of value there. We were checking out some of the stocks still.
That's a cool thing to do.
Under 20 cents, 30 cents.
Imagine every single quarter you're like, okay, well, everybody on the floor gives their, I know we did that top 3, but like give like a top 10 and then all the overlapping ones that everybody likes.
Futures.
And those ones you go through. By the way, this SBIO, just wanted to show the chart. I know we're trying to get up there if you had it on the OTC, but there's that venture breaking that high, SBIO, Sabio. You would have seen when we were flipping to it that I threw up the Apple chart. Because we're going long into Apple. So like it was kind of in the same moment when I wanted to get that chart up to you. But Apple just pulled right back into the prior low. He said there's one more salvo. It came, held the low, broke 39 into the high of the day. So that's a quick little scalp trade in Apple. And finally get something going here is that we're now at the highs. The NASDAQ, hey, we're not closing on the lows, everybody. That's the best thing you can ever hope for.
Yeah, that's the siren right there. And look what we did. Finally, want to thank Ryan for coming through. But meanwhile, we're 60 handles now in the money on the futures. It came we said we wanted to go long. It came right back into our level, man. We just bought it up, 72.60s. Huge move to the upside, right back to the top. Look, man, the futures did exactly what we thought they would do. We said that they would come into the opening range, basically, and hit downside. That's exactly what happened. It happened too quick. I said, all right, let's just flip it on its head, go long down here, and that's exactly what we did. A bunch of outs. Like, I said to myself, I'm not going to get chopped out again like we did on Nvidia and all that. If we rip up to the 50 period, we'll take that. That's 20 handles. Then we took some out up here, sort of where this past top was, and in around 73. And then we just took some out, basically at the top of the day with our best outs, I think, being 22s or so. So we'll have to, it's right here right now. So, okay. So these have been some good plays. Let's see if we can get going into the closing period right now. We now are 7 minutes away from these imbalances becoming live. Oh, Big Bear AI with a sell. Okay, I see you, Big Bear. Nice move to the downside. We'll see if that winds up hitting as well. But yeah, not much changing. So at 350 is when these numbers will come out and see what's going on.
Oh, quick look. You saw
high of the day. Yep.
I saw NU up there as the number 2 imbalance, 5 million to sell. I double check. If that's dual listed on Brazil, be wary of that. Because anytime you have a stock which is listed on multiple markets, an imbalance on one in one direction could literally be offset by an imbalance in the other way. So you'd want to see what's going on. And I don't know if that one, I'm pretty sure it's going to be listed somewhere in South America. But I just added QBTS to the watch list here for myself, Enphase, QBTS, because that's significant. 4 million shares on that stock. I know it's only a $5 stock, but 4 million shares is still big. So in 7 minutes, we expect to see that populate. I think you're going to see bigger numbers than what we just saw on that imbalance locator. I think that's going to pale in comparison. You'll see a lot of these be even bigger and looking for a potential seller on Enphase because it's supposed to be the lead at one of the indexes. So I'm out at the high, more to do with the fact that it's a Friday, it's end of the month. I want to make sure I'm flat for the 350 mark. When these things start to come out. So, yeah, going to load up and get ready for these imbalances. We'll give them you live like we always do in here, but the market finally going. See a lot of names starting to go. SOUN making some power moves as the market. You know what? After everything, 0.7 to the upside on the NASDAQ. After all that, Apple up 1%, Tesla up 3%, Nvidia up 2% as we load that one up. At the end of the day, it's a good recovery type of day. If you buy those dips, sometimes you do it and it's boring in the indexes, it doesn't give you much, but if you buy some kind of a dip when everyone's panicking, usually it works out pretty well.
Yeah, that's that's why we decided to go the other way here on these imbalances. You know, it's been such a big sell all week that into the close, maybe today's a buy. So we just go right back up to the high of the day right there. We do still have about 25% left of this position, looking to see if we can blow out the top right now on the futures. I've traded today, I actually added, like we just got into Apple, AMD, Nvidia, Palantir, and the Qs. That's all that we've been looking at there today. Let's take a quick look at Coinbase. I mean, the futures, crypto is 84,000 right now. I think you're pretty okay with that. I mean, the high being 109 down to 84,000, and we've seen, you know, names get clocked. That's was it 27% or so downside so far on crypto. I think it was maybe 24% at this level. So, you know, you could see equity like drop way faster than crypto. So you could see this one was $300 down to $200 right there, just in that sort of that same move downside. So I would say watch out. That just wicked down to $200 right there for Coinbase. Some areas of concern in and around 100, 198, 199. So we'll look at that on next week. But Coinbase still seems to be pretty good today, up 1.64%. So watching out for Bitcoin doing a little bit of a dance. My eyes are still going over here because I want to watch out for that TQs coming through. I said I didn't mind the Intel long into the end of the day, but again, look, not much happening. Let's just check out what Nvidia is doing. Maybe if we're going to trade anything, not maybe, I mean, we're going to wait for that imbalance at this point. There's no point. I'm almost thinking about, you know what? Let's take out another couple percentage points here at 15. So I just offered 15s. So hopefully we come, there it is. So if it runs right through us and gets filled. So I have a lot of trades on there, but like, let's just say that was for 10 shares or 100 shares. Like for adding liquidity, you only make like $2 per 1,000 shares. So it's not like I'm sitting here making money adding and removing liquidity. It's just I'm not paying for the fills. And you would much rather take an extra penny than even to add liquidity. So it's not a great idea. It's just that's how and why I trade the TQs rather than the futures, because at our system, the futures is just pay both ways. And the level 2 on a NASDAQ, so this is what it looks like right here. NQ, I must just use the current contract, H25. So this is what a live level 2 looks like for the futures, right? 20,754. You could see it goes by quarters right there, and it's a different order entry system, right? So I prefer to look at it as an equity because it looks like everything else. And, you know, my keys are the same. The gateways are the same. You could trade with ARCA or NASDAQ. Same way you could trade with these things on Apple, for example, ARCA, NASDAQs. So that's my preference and why I look to trade the TQQs. You could just trade the triple Qs to get the 1-to-1 leverage. This is 3-to-1. So the NASDAQ today only up 0.75. This is up 2.25%. So I like the juice a little bit on that. And that's why I choose to trade the TQs and why we've been in there for a minute. So
the other thing is it's cumulative. So if you take 100 trades a day for an entire year, that $2 per 1,000 shares doesn't seem like much on the spread, but it adds up over time. It just manages fees.
Yeah.
You're talking about, for most traders, it's hundreds of dollars.
You can save like $30 a day.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's why traders do it. Like, and I know traders that don't do that. And you look at it, it's like, you have any idea how much that adds up over the course of a year if you can manage it? And just a correction in the chat, I typoed. Someone asked why isn't Enphase going up? Enphase is supposed to be deleted from the MSCI. I just typed in the chat MSCI is going to be deleted from the MSCI, which was a typo.
I was wondering when you wrote that, what was going on?
That's my bad. No, it's going to be Enphase. But in 2 minutes, I'm flat. I have no orders, and I'm going to cancel the stop orders that I forgot to cancel just now to make sure I have nothing out, because we're expecting to see some large imbalances. It doesn't mean there's going to be fireworks. Right now, NU's the biggest at 8 million, but that's a very cheap stock. QBTS is in there 3.5. Pfizer, not concerned about that. BBAI, that's significant. 3 million selling BBAI.
Yeah.
That's worth throwing that up as well as a potential stock to watch. And just because it's an early look sell doesn't mean it will come out a big sell. Just because Enphase is supposed to be a sell, it doesn't mean there's going to be like millions and millions to the sell side. It could come out the wrong way, but I'm only interested if it comes out the right direction. Like if I see Enphase buy, I don't do anything. I just sit here on my hands. Just fine.
So by the way, 100 handles. It's a nice. Yeah, so that's going to be a good trade right there into the high of the day, man. We take some more out. Let's go right there. As you can see, kind of liking that trade right now. So, so far so good with this one. Let's see if we can continue to have that good juge going here into the close as it starts to ramp itself straight up again right now. So, all right, here we go. Okay, so just argument's sake, 20% left. Not argument's sake, factual, 20% left. I'm going to take out 5% there to try to hold 15%. I'm offering 41s. Oh, we got it. Okay, we got our 41 fill there somehow. So nice little move there at 4. There it is. So there's our 41 fill. There it is. Okay, so now we'll wait to see here with only a couple seconds left. These are the imbalances right now. We'll want to look at something like Nvidia. I actually had a dream. I told Neil last night. I had a dream that there was a 10 million share sell imbalance for Nvidia. So if that comes through. Oh, he's got another fill on the futures. So we must have got some more out. All right, here we go, man. With only 5 seconds to go right now. We're getting ready to see what happens with these imbalances. Looking at Nvidia's price just shot up 30 cents right there. So what do we...
Mine didn't up.
Yeah, well, it did go up. I don't see Nvidia right there. Amazon, look at Amazon. Man, sorry.
Amazon
dollar upside. Go ahead. Yeah.
Amazon 3.4 million buy side. Nvidia 3.3 million to the buy side. You've got Pfizer. Who cares? Sorry, Pfizer. Grab is the biggest, and that's only $4 stock, so 6.4. NU came out at 6.4 million to the sell side. No end phase on the top. BBAI was pretty much 2.4, so smaller than expected. End phase is 2.7 million, which is not necessarily as big as expected, but it is in the right direction. Apple, 2 million to the buy side. Palantir, 2 million to the buy side. Walmart, 1.9 million to the buy side. You got sells on Match. Tons over 1 million, as we said. It's got to be, we don't have the overall number, but Microsoft 1.7. Suffice to say, every Mag 7 on this list has been over 1 million shares to the buy side, so it's an overall buy imbalance.
So yeah, good, yeah. We don't have. Darren normally has the number. We can look it up. I think it's Financial Juice, I believe, has those numbers. So if you were looking at that, you can go over and check them out. We're not affiliated with them at all. All right. So Nvidia is a buy. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Nice little buy side. Can you take a look at that? Nice little buy side move right there. Shout out to Obi. Take a look at that. So we'll see if what's going to happen right now with Nvidia. Looks like it's a nice buy. So if you had just again, it's quick to do it. Like you sort of got to be part of an algo or something, or be able to code into that trade. Yeah. But there it goes, man. Nice upside move to end the day. And by the way, oh boy, this is a trade, guys, for me. This is a monster trade happening right now for me on the futures. This is now 130 handles in the money, so we're still here, man. We're still doing what we want to do. There it goes. Nice upside move. Bang. Take some more out. Thank you, my friend, right there. Good day so far right there. Making it back on the Qs, guys. Like we traded it early this morning. It was very choppy. Look at that trade to end the day on the futures. So good job there. Looking for it. We found it. Got you right there on the futures. Take another piece out. Why not? Right now, there's another piece out at 88. So good trading there on the futures. I'm sorry. Oh, I don't mean to cover this up. All right. Lucid was a buy into the close. Is there any individual names that you guys want? Because me and Neil are just kind of playing
Walmart. Walmart's a small sell.
Okay.
So buy. 1.5 million to the buy side. Not that big. Tesla, I didn't see. Actually, Tesla's the only thing I didn't see.
I don't see it either. It's not really moving here.
Tesla's not on. It's not over 1 million shares on Tesla. If it's not over 1 million shares today, then it's not a significant imbalance. So the biggest name, like we said, it's Grab. It's NU. It's the right direction on end phase, although not as. It's only a couple million shares on end phase, so it wasn't overly dramatic. It's only done 5 million. So if this holds at 355, don't want to get ahead of myself. At 355, usually you get a major pairing event on these imbalances. So all of these big numbers that you see here, you're going to tend to see them shift a little bit. Sometimes they'll get paired off in half. Other ones might drop altogether and flip. If you're trading one, you want to be looking at that particular imbalance. Like the last thing you'd want to do is trade end phase to the short side and then see this thing flip from a short into a buy. So that's the thing that I'm watching right now, as end phase is at the lows. And we said, again, you could gamble that this is going to come out the right direction, and you could have just been short end phase. I don't play that game. I want to see it holding this at 355. So with about 1 minute to go, I'm either taking this or I'm taking nothing at the close. I want to make sure it's not pairing off, and if it's not, we throw our order and take our shot.
Yep. All right, Marissa, if you're watching, let me know what kind of bottle we're drinking, because there it is, man. A nice move to the upside right now for the futures, man. 150 handles to end the day. So there it is, man. It's a big one there to come through. Thank you so much, Rebalances. I mean, you're definitely paying out right now. But we got to get one more piece out. We still have 5% left, so let's let this go. I just offered 17s. I don't know why, 74.17. I might just take a piece out, take some out right now. That high was, okay, well, we almost just got it again. That high is 28s right there, man. I got to make my way to Scarberia, because we got a game against Leaside tonight. So we're getting ready to play that, and then we're up in Aurelia.
They were always a good baseball.
Yeah, no, Leaside's a great team, a great organization. Here we go. It is a 200 handle winner almost. $2 straight to the upside for the futures. So there we go, man. It's a banger to end the day. We'll end the day at the highest spot we've been at. Hallelujah. Because this today is a special day one more time. And, you know, we talked about, you know, being red yesterday. I think the red the day before. You just come back, man. I mean, we're here every single day. Make sure you do hit that like, hit that subscribe, and join us every single day. Wow, Neil, like, honestly, forget about, it's too bad. We'll buy a bottle, but if I just held this, man, it was a case. Look, I mean, this was $72.50, $74.50 there at the end of the day, man. I mean, we're doing it live. You know, we're doing these trades live. We're putting it on. It is what it is. That's a good trade to end the day. We're pretty happy with it. I hope everybody's enjoyed their week so far. What a banger. We had wicked results this week. And I want to thank everybody for all the subscriptions. We had our biggest show ever on the recap show with Nvidia. Shout out to Sharif Adera. Neil was off. You actually booked that day off. And you knew as soon as you booked it, right? You were like,
I'm like,
yeah, you looked at the calendar, because normally Neil does it on Wednesday. We just rotate days. And he's like, oh, man, I can't be there for Nvidia day. I'm like, I'll take it.
Yeah,
so we did that. So you had things.
I couldn't miss my question. So
no, it's all good.
I sized down on Enphase at the last second. So I'll end up taking a small. It wasn't as big of an imbalance as I was expecting. So I'll take a small position in here. Just going to take whatever the print happens to be. It's at the lows. So I ended up in about a tenth of what I would take normally, because it was just too far to the downside. So we'll take like a small shot at it, but it's not going to be anything crazy. So the idea is, like, I'm basically just in it, and wherever it prints is where it prints. So we'll get one more fill, and then I'll have everything, and it'll print wherever the heck it prints. Yeah, it was too far down there to sort of load up or do anything crazy. You never want to get out of pocket on these moves. Like, if you looked at it, was like maybe 3 imbalances ago, it was NU that was gigantic.
Yep.
That was a better opportunity. It was a huge buy imbalance relatively. I know Palantir did the same thing, but I don't have the same vibes with this one. All right, there's a big seller, gonna get some in front of them. Essentially, because I have a locked in order, I have to get the position to offset it, because I don't want to be in the aftermarket in this position.
So you might have heard me.
What was that?
What one's that? I don't have that one on the board. Oh, the calculation one is fixed. Okay,
I don't have that one on the board either.
That's okay. It's up on there. It's up on the recap show board.
Now it goes where it goes.
Yeah, okay, so we'll have to wait. So Neil's going to be in Enphase. He's going to monitor that trade. Yeah, we just got out of the queues, man. I mean, I just don't need this thing dropping in the last couple minutes, so we'll take that out right there. And we did this yesterday on the TQs. We had this closing short as well. So we just really topped off our day, both days in a row here, sitting on the futures and being as patient as we could. You get that move to the upside. We told you we were holding about 25% when this happened. Maybe it was 20%. So a lot of outs at 74, man. I mean, that took out the day's high. And then to hold that last 5% or whatever we had, nice move up to 74.80. So that really did come in quite nicely there at the end of the day, man. So yeah, that was a good one. Just quickly, Neil, I guess you're going to manage that trade, so that's good.
Well, the orders are in.
Okay, the orders are in. So Tesla also at the high of the day. Great rebound day for TSLA and all your shareholders as well. And we had mentioned, just for, you know, could it get to 300? I mean, you know, yeah. It's just, if this rally had started maybe a half hour earlier or something like that, then you could have got, yeah, go ahead. Just go ahead. Neil, you'll be doing the recap show.
Joe's on.
Yeah, Joe and Neil, perfect. All right, so Joe and Neil on the recap show. I got to fly. So we'll say again, a big congratulations to Obi, who today, and we just put that picture out there yesterday, he has made, oops, that's Trump. I was watching, I wasn't here. I was with Jack there. And oh yeah, by the way, tomorrow, really excited for a Elimination Chamber. So that's going to be here in Toronto. I haven't been to a WWE event in just a minute there. I tweeted this out yesterday. Little AI created bear there ripping through. What's up, Floyd? All right, so here it is right here. There's Obi. So big congratulations to Obi. We'll be going out. That's why we're wearing the shirt there. Everyone's going to be going out. I thought some of the guys would be here by now, but they're not. So I don't know where they are. I was hoping to show you guys Luca and all those guys coming back in today. So we'll see. I hopefully be able to have a beer with them, but I gotta fly. Maybe catch up with them later on tonight. So Tesla looks like it'll go out up here. Wow. If anybody trusted me, thank you. But right now, these TQs are really flying high right now. So let's just have a quick look to see what else is on the top here. New bank. So this is something that you could hold new holdings. You could watch to see what this does right here at the close. So it's a 6 million sell. You see how it's getting closer and closer to getting paired off? So you're seeing some action fly through, tons of volume, 100 million shares starting to pair off just a little bit. Looks like Andre will be ringing the bell here in just 20 seconds. So we're getting ready to rock and roll. We can watch this. What do you guys want to watch right at the end? We can watch some Nvidia. How about that right now? Okay, the countdown is now on. We have less than 10 seconds to go. As Nvidia's at 125, that's funny. That was Neil was like, hey, if Nvidia gets to 125, it's there right now. All right, 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much, Andre. That closing bell brought to you by Orogenics. Check them out, OGEN, on your NYSE ARCA exchange there. OGen, thank you so much for sponsoring yet again the closing bell. All right. I always talk on and on and on, and people get tired of some of the things that I say. But at the end of the day, I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you so much to Bears vs. Bulls. You guys know we appreciate you so much for all the work that you've done for us. I want to thank Michael Noss, who came through today. I want to thank Ryan Iverson, who just came through for our guest of the day there. Talking about some of his products. Thank Brendan for that great interview. What's up to Adara, off today, but should be coming back here for the party. We want to say a big shout out to Fabian, who ran in here today, working the board all day with Andre. So thank you too so much for that. Thank you, Andre, for ringing the bell. Big shout out to my guy Jackson. Thank you so much there he is. Yo, what up, Fabian, my guy? There he is. And I want to say a big shout out to Jackson. Thank you for coming through. It was a great opportunity to show you the trading floor and discuss trading with you. If you need me to come in for your grade 8 project, I'll be there in person, man. Talk in front of the kids. We love that. I have my son's in grade 7. So, all right. Look, record week this week. Thank you so much to everybody for that. And, the shows are just getting bigger and better. I had the privilege of doing the show with Joe the last couple days. So right now, Joe and Neil, I've done the recap show with Joe before as well. It's going to be a good show. Neil, Joe, reviewing some of the weeks, reviewing some of the earnings. So for me to you, thank you to everybody. A big shout out to Sharif. I forgot to say thank you to him as well. So thank you to the big dog. I'll see everybody on Monday. Have a great weekend. We'll chat then.
Great job, Sean. Great trade and great shirt, which I'm just going to point out that someone just said in the chat, what's the party for? Obi graduated as a trader. We've been putting it off, like the graduation party. You go out, have some drinks, have some fun. So it's finally happening after months. And then the idea was that we're all going to get like trading related t-shirts. So everyone's got theirs. I see Branko's over there and Obi's got his on. Sean tweeted it out or posted it yesterday, and he's got his on there. And this is a long-winded way of me pointing out that Joe does not have his on.
I didn't put it on. I was saving it for the big moment tonight, guys. You know, I want to put it on. I didn't want to stretch it out or anything along those lines. You know what I mean? So hey, we'll take it easy. We're going to get the shirt on here shortly.
Well, we did order them from China, so they're... I'm not making it up.
I'm a little worried about mine. I'm a little worried about mine. It's a little small.
Would you get a large?
No,
extra large.
Medium.
You got a medium?
I got a medium.
Yeah, you can't wear that, dude. This is a large.
You can't.
This shirt, right? I'm not making it. This shirt is a large, and I wear a medium. Like whatever. I'm $1.75, and I'm 5'10" and a half.
We're in trouble.
And this is a large, and look at it's kind of tight. You're not putting. So Joe's not going to have one on. But you know what? The market,
get it on.
Great reversal. And what can we say? Look at the ETF board that we have up here. I know there was a lot of blood in the water type moments, and everyone was sort of talking about how things were looking, lots of questions about the VIX, and comparing it to recent drawbacks like 2022, and how does this compare to 2020? Well, XLF up, XLY, XLE, XLU, XLI, X anything if it's an ETF.
Well, that's the thing, right? You got to find the strength within the market. We know that the tech sector, the Mag 7 are down over 10, 15%. individually, right? So it's our job to find which sector is strong. And XLF is still hovering around those highs, guys. So look into the sector rotations, and that is our job and what we need to do on a day-to-day basis. We talk about this all the time on the midday. The VIX is still running into some resistance, so I'm not going to get too worried yet. I'm not going to hit the panic button just yet because the NASDAQ and the SPY are both under 10% down from those all-time highs, Neil.
And that's sort of the thing. Like, you've got to, we referenced volatility as well, right? Like, understand, like, if we're not going to have the VIX pressing at least 30, then it's not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
And it generally hasn't been. But to your point, like, where is the strength been? Now, I don't want to throw cold water on this, but XLF, which is up 2 points, and that's going to be the biggest of our ETF board here that we're tracking, we did stall out right at this high, which has been resistance. So we're just right back to the top. Now, that's better than the overall market, and I still like XLF. I did buy once this year. And again, this was one of my picks, so I'm not saying anything bad about it, but you didn't press through the high. Like, I'll give you another example of, and this is an individual stock where, yeah, we had a strong day, but let's put it into perspective. Like Apple closed barely breaking back above the 50-period moving average, sort of diddling a little bit in the middle. As strong as Nvidia's move was, I'm just talking about the Mag 7 here, Nvidia closes underneath on the daily, the 200-period moving average, and that's with the bounce that we saw in there today. So just to give you a little bit of understanding of why we talk about the rotation and what are the sectors that are strong, well, the Mag 7 aren't on these daily charts looking overly impressive. But it works both ways.
It works both ways.
It works both ways. And I'm going to show you consumer discretionary.
Yep.
The problem with the consumer discretionary and why you see it so weak is we know that's where Tesla falls.
Tesla.
And Tesla is its own beast right now.
Its own beast, down over 45%. 45% at those lows. It's not looking good. People believe that Elon needs to focus more on the company, not worried about Doge and all that outside noise that he does seem to have going on. So I'm curious to see. We need some strong catalyst to come out under Tesla. He needs to release those robo fleets in Austin and get some of these vehicles on the ground, I think, in order for us to see this stock start moving.
I agree with you. That's a catalyst we need. But if we get any scintilla of that, I think it's a rocket. And I think someone said generational buy opportunity on Tesla. I don't know that I'd go that far, but we pointed out when there was the whole Twitter buyout mess for Elon, he declared that position in 2022. It was early in April, and you had the flush down. It pulled back all the way to $100. And that was a great buying opportunity for Tesla. So that's a fantastic looking shirt, Sean. I mean, it's gorgeous. I mean, who's going to win? The Bears versus...
I'm going to bring Patty Ice up here.
Yeah, we got to get...
what? BP?
BP.
All right,
And we had Patrick, one of the traders, a former trader on the floor, coming back. But a great shirt. Who's going to win? Bears versus Bulls. I got the huddle. We can at least hold your shirt up, Joe.
It's over there. Maybe we get Patty to grab it for us when he pulls up here.
I would love to see Brankel's shirt.
Yeah, Brankel's shirt,
see Obi's
shirt, Amazon.
well.
Oh, you missed the team pick yesterday. Where was your shirt? I'm curious. Where was your shirt during that team pick yesterday?
So mine was sitting at the desk. When they took the picture, I was actually up. I wasn't at my desk. It was at the desk. I just hadn't put it on yet. I was nervous, too, that it wasn't going to fit. But see, today, if you just huddled it, you were doing absolutely fine. But all the boys are coming out of the woodworks today for Obi's graduation party. So there's going to probably be a few beverages flowing around here, I'm guessing. But here he is. We got the mic on. You guys should remember Big Patty Ice. What's going on, brother? It's good to see you again.
How are you, buddy? Here with the flow and everything.
Talking to the mic, my friend.
Yeah, we're looking over here. He's looking good, too.
How's everybody doing?
Yeah, we're good. This isn't an OG.
Hey, buddy, you're killing it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. This guy's a true gentleman.
It's good. Understand.
Oh, the mic's on.
It was muted.
It's on his mic.
Hey, everyone, just so you guys understand, I know it's like, oh, we see each other, big hugs. I watch every single day, every single day. Elliott Wave Theory. I'm trading IBIT and Nvidia because of you.
There we go.
Joe hit it.
He might hit back.
But you're so perfect for this job.
I appreciate it. Hey. We'll tone it down a little bit here. We got to stay humble. We don't want to blow the head up too much. You know? Especially if we're drinking tonight, too. So we don't want to get too confident tonight. So, yeah.
How's the Achilles?
So I was telling Joe, so what I love about Patty Ice, first thing he asked, how's the Achilles doing? At physio yesterday, we were doing light box jumps.
Okay.
I was doing side hops, Like I even said to them on the show, I'm planning on doing a 5K in the fall. Like I'm starting to feel pretty good about it. I'm not like I can't run yet. Obviously, that's one of the last things you're able to do. But
One step at a time.
one step at a time, man. I love having stuff to work forward to.
Yeah,
So I want to try to give myself a goal, and that'll be to finish a 5K. I don't know what time I'd be able to run. If I can't break 25 minutes, I'll probably be depressed. So let's just throw 25 minutes.
That's awesome. Well, I don't want to bother you guys. I know you guys are doing your thing.
good, brother.
I just want to say hi to everyone.
Before you get out of here,
yeah.
all right, look, Patty's a trader as well.
Yeah.
Last little bit, we've had a little bit of a pullback. Give me one name that you're looking dip buyer that you like.
Oh, I've been shorting Mara from the beginning.
Oh, shorting Mara.
Yeah.
We're not saying
Short,
the
short.
Mara King.
Yeah.
The Mara King.
Once it broke through, Bitcoin broke through 100 and hit that, what was it, 105, I think it was? And then it came back down. I'm like, okay, they got everybody. Listen, when your mailman's telling you about Bitcoin, time to sell.
Time to get out of here.
Time to sell. Okay, everyone, continue your show. I just want to say bye.
Ice, Patrick himself.
Yeah, I'll see you next.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see you in a couple of minutes, there, brother. Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
love to see.
love to see the guy. He was at the poker night the other couple weekends ago.
Yeah,
or
that's
a couple
what
months ago.
anytime we have poker nights around here, it brings out all the traders from the floor. And
Pure
look,
class.
some traders, Patty's still trading. Some guys will leave and get like a regular 9 to 5. Others will go to another trading floor that's locally. We'll meet some of those boys here tonight. I don't know if they'll be coming through while we're still on the show.
coming through as well
Yannick,
too.
we're expecting to have.
We'll be seeing them. So good to see them. But back to the market, Neil. And one thing I want to point out, one sector that is performing significantly better is the ADRs, the Chinese ADRs. Up year to date, significantly more than the broader market. So that's something I got to keep an eye on. I know we talk a lot about China just being almost uninvestable. They got stimulus coming left, right, and center. Then it's bad news here and there. But here, year to date, they're still performing better than the S&P and the Nasdaq.
And you know what? I'll tell you right now, you can talk about all the uninvestable. I understand you want to talk about your fundamental or not liking the risk of the Chinese names. But if you just take a step back and look at the charts, FXI, which is a large cap ETF, on this weekly chart, come to my chart for a second here, Fabian. On this weekly chart, does this look like something which is topping out or breaking back out? Because what I see is downward trend broken, double bottom, higher lows, both major moving averages attained. Even on this little pullback, you're still holding the top end of the range. And on the weekly, you have a potential breakout looming. Now, I could pull up a chart of Alibaba and say something similar, but it doesn't look to me like this is something that's running out of steam. And I'm not one of those followers of, I guess other fund managers out there, but you have a few people who've gone all in on China from a value proposition. I like Baba for that same reason. I think you get AI, I think you get cloud with them for all the same reasons why I like names like Amazon,
of course, yeah,
and Alphabet. But Alibaba, particularly, this one I just like it better than FXI. And this doesn't look like we're in the 9th inning or the 7th inning of a run. It looks to me like we're in the 2nd or 3rd inning here, maybe the 4th or something like that. I like baseball analogies, guys. So I'm with you on that. FXI looks good, but I like Alibaba. That's my pick in the space. It was going to be my call when we did our, hey, what are the things you like?
Our topic.
But Bertrand and I had just been talking about this and recently buying it again at the 80s. So I thought we were going with things that we hadn't already talked about in the previous months. Otherwise, I was going to pick Alibaba.
Well, I mean, just from a technical standpoint, let's talk about it a little bit. They were on the lows, right? And they had stimulus pumping into the economy. We know that China took a while to get out of that COVID phase and kind of just get the steam rolling again. I'm looking at KWeb right now here on my chart, and this is the internet ETF. It's the exact same thing as the FXI and BABA. It's looking pretty good. Are we going to hop into it right away? No, we still want to hear some good news from China, some positive catalysts as well coming out of China. But I agree with you. I think at some point it's like, hey, when do we look abroad and say, is this investable now or is it not?
Well, I think, that's for a lot. If you can decipher how this whole trade war thing is going to end up, good luck. Like I've heard
another 10%.
You heard exactly.
Right.
You hear analysts from left and right. It was 20%, and then 10%, and then another 10% announced, and then the original threat was a 60%. So in theory, if you're going to take at his word, because let's be real about it, I don't care what your politics are. Most of the times, if something gets said, consider it a possibility. when Trump makes it. And yeah, it could be a negotiating tactic, but as far as I'm concerned, he could pull a couple more levers when it comes to this trade war business, and then you could get some retaliation. Like, this could still unfold more. So there's a lot of headline risk in these names. I get that. From a technical standpoint, I like it. I think the entire year is going to be choppy. This is no different. I saw in the chat someone mentioning there, the Piper just saying right up to strong level, not much headroom. I can't completely disagree with that. When I pull up this FXI, like, while I liked Alibaba a little bit better, I just feel like it had a little bit more room to go and a little bit tighter of a range. Yeah, you're still into that resistance and trying to press it here at that top. So is it a buy here? It's hard for me to pull the trigger up at that top. Holding back on a dip into the 200-period moving average or the 50 makes a little more sense. Now, I'm saying that with the benefit of having already been into BABA a couple of times. But candidly, and we have to say this, well, I have to say this because to me, it's not right not to do it, but this is not the first time I've been in Alibaba. So it's great the last couple times here off the 70 and 80 levels, 70 back in, in 2022, and then just last year, late in the year, being able to grab it in those 80s. That's been good. But I was also into Alibaba several times in 2021. Like, twice I tried to swing that stock. Actually, one of them might have been in 22. But either way, both of those didn't work out. So I understand fully trying to catch that falling knife or the troubles that this has had. I would just simply say to you that downward trend has at least been clearly broken at this point. I think that's sort of the key thing.
I totally agree with you there. And not only that, Neil, we have news with AI spend here in North America. Are we spending too much? Because with the likes of DeepSeek coming in, and they're spending a fraction of the amount that we are here, and you have the exact same model essentially. So it's like, okay, at what point do we look at China and say, are they onto something? Are these mega cap tech stocks, these hyperscalers, spending too much on AI and not seeing enough of a positive return here? So I like the looks of Alibaba. They're releasing their own AI as well, too, their own large language model. And then you have DeepSeek coming into the mix, working at a fraction of a percent of what these large companies here in North America have been spending on AI spend. So for me, it's a really big question, and I'm going to be curious, and I'm going to continue to look into this space to see if there's an entry point and if it's worth it for the long run.
Yeah, and as you mentioned that, we were talking about DeepSeek. I just want to keep one thing in mind because everyone's all doom and gloom about this. There's Jevons paradox, or Jevons paradox, Jevons paradox. And that just comes down to the idea that when you have hyper efficiency, which is what's being claimed by DeepSeek and probably will drive some more efficiency in the US, when that happens and costs can come dramatically down, yes, understandably, Nvidia's margins will drop, the revenue per unit, like those things would fall back in. But the idea is that usage goes way up. Yep. Because as something becomes more efficient, you find far more applications for it. So you end up with overall growth. And that's why it's considered the paradox. Price can come way down and you can still have growth in the overall sector. That works in Nvidia's favor. Period. So I'm not terribly concerned about that story. I think you have to worry about it from a trader in the short term. If you're long right at tops or you're like highly leveraged and you got to worry about tight stops, that's one thing. If you're looking at the long term, you're going to hear a bunch of analysts that have been talking about the same thing. So it's like, don't pretend it's just me that's saying it. I've heard many people say the same thing, and I remember learning about it. I don't even remember what year of university, but I remember there's not a heck of a lot that I will apply my economics degree to directly, but every now and then you get to throw some kind of theory that you heard once in class, remember it on the test.
Yeah, exactly.
At least I hope I remembered it on the test.
Yeah. Hopefully, yeah, me too. But I mean, it's a tough look here, right, guys? So again, we talked about the market being down and some of these big cap tech names being down. Yeah. I think at some point they are going to recover, right? We don't have too much to worry. They're still growing. AWS is still growing. Azure is still growing. Nvidia is still growing. But it's just not necessarily at the pace that we've expected it to, right? So the market has baked a lot of it in. We know we do have some headwinds in front of us as well, too, with the likes of tariffs. I believe starting next week, the Canada and Mexico tariffs are going to be implemented. And then additional 10% in China as well, too, guys. So I think at some point the market is going to recover. The growth is still there. It's just not at the rate that we've been expecting it or it has been in the previous year, Neil.
Yeah, I think I can 100% agree with that. I just saw in the chat here, I know it's 9:14, we got plenty of time to go on to make sure we get some questions in here. Oh, where was it? The 6.
Let's see.
Jensen said AI is going into reasoning phase, which requires 100x computing power. Nvidia is bullish. I see that, and this is sort of the thing. Like, we're not in the end phase here.
No.
You don't even have so many of the AI applications, which we know are going to be coming. We haven't seen them applied yet.
Apple
Everyone is still building into this, whether it's Apple Intelligence. I actually think it's a bigger deal, some more of the nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
Like, does anybody want to work in an Amazon factory now?
Nope.
And just from a standpoint of liking that kind of a job. Automation there, automation at ports, right? Completely eliminating tedious types of jobs. Like, I went into school for accounting originally, economics degree, so you thought I didn't want to do that. Accounting is going to be, for a greater part, gone.
Yeah.
There's so many levels of disruption that have not happened yet, so we're in the early innings of. So I agree with you 100% in there. The 6, I don't know if you're actually from Toronto. Shout out to you if you are. And by the way, David in the chat, appreciate you. Have a great weekend already as well. Pumpkin Latte, can you talk about the carry trade?
Oh.
So if you remember,
Jeez.
so it's a kind of a random question. We had a recent shock because of some of the unwinding of the carry trade, which just boils down to, well, Japan didn't do anything with their rates for a very, 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 very long time.
Very long time.
Sitting at zero, right? So it was one of those things where you could borrow and then you just buy. The idea was you just buy U.S. equity, right? So you were able to borrow at low rates, zero rates, and you were buying U.S. tech. And that's what it was. So you were just leveraging in a foreign currency to buy U.S. tech. And then when they made a small move, some of that unwound because they're buying U.S. tech for that reason. When they unwind the trade, they were essentially just going to be selling U.S. tech. And the first shock was pretty heavy when we had some unwinding of the carry trade. Hasn't been so bad, but it is something that we keep in track of. Like, I think we're at least in a phase where we're going to pay attention to what is going on with rates out of Japan. Like, so you care about what the Bank of Japan is going to do. You don't hear us on the show talk about anybody but the Fed. We might mention a Canadian interest rate move because we're in Canada, but it's not relevant to most of the things that we hold.
Exactly.
I think rates in Japan will be, especially with the Fed on pause right now. So you want to make sure that, I don't think it's as big a concern as it was the first time when it came a little bit out of nowhere, but you should have it in the back burner if you're a holder of if you're leveraged into U.S. tech is the best way to think about it. If you're well diversified, you're probably not as concerned about it.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I remember, Neil, when I first started trading, is right during the monetary policy started to kick into place. And that's when the rate hike cycle started, right? And the market was pricing in 9, 10, 11, 12 cuts in the year. And I'm thinking to myself, why would they ever do that, right? Like, why are you, if you're battling inflation, why are you going to cut prematurely and then have the risk of potentially reigniting the inflation and then going back to exactly where you started? So when Jerome Powell was saying higher for longer, that's what he meant, right? We don't want to go back to where we first started. He wanted to hold those rates higher for longer so that we battled inflation and we got it to that 2.2% goal. And I think that was the narrative there, guys. We don't want to price in too much. The market does get ahead of itself at times, and I think that's going to be the case here. When stuff is baked in, and now that we're pricing only about 1 or 2 cuts throughout the whole year, which I'll be surprised if we get 2, then it's just like, okay, now we start pricing things out. And then now we start pricing things out, and we got the tariffs looming, 25% for Canada, 25% for Mexico, and an additional 10%. That's when we start pricing things out, and that's when you can see these 15 to 20% drawdowns in some of these big names, I think, Neil.
Well, I think that's why you got to have some concern for the Russell this year. Like, and when the last time we talked about the Russell, I said I'm not a huge fan. I think there's better places to find some strength. That's why you got to look at maybe XLE starting to go. We talked about XLF already, the financials. I don't like the Russell because part of the run that they had, or at least the catch-up trade they had, was the expectation you get some rate cuts. And for those types of names, the smaller names, borrowing costs are a big deal for them. I have to address this, and I want to shout out Farm Trader in the chat for this. Neil, where are the Heineken? First of all, I don't know what they have in the back right now. What I can tell you is I have literally heard bottles clinking in the kitchen.
I had them heard. Yeah, see, the boys are gone. Oh, Wayner's still at the desk.
Wayner's at the desk.
I've
heard some voices in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I've seen there's some stuff in the fridge. But I'm just going to posit that obviously no one has decided to share anything with us at the desk as we're on the job. It's not like we're making any trades. I mean, if somebody wanted Wayne to get us a beverage to toast, and if you're wondering why there's Patty Icy just coming from the kitchen there.
If anyway, look at the gentleman. Look at his pure class. He's pure holding the door, walks out of his way. Nothing but class there, guys.
That is
the big Patty Ice.
No, but in all truth, that is Patrick.
That is him.
Patrick is like he's that kind of a dude.
He is that guy.
And not like just for show, like every single time he's just an absolute class man. Yeah. And if you're wondering why we're celebrating today, why the shirts, just to go over it again, you'll see Obi fills on the midday.
Yep.
He fills in for Sean and myself on the desk. He's a trader on the floor. He graduated, so everyone that's on the prop floor, you start as a trainee, and then when you hit a target profit, you become a full-time trader and you graduate. It's kind of a big milestone. You get to go out. No one ever forgets their graduation party.
No.
I don't forget mine.
There you go.
It may or may not have. It wasn't Croc. It might have been the Croc Rock in Toronto. I'm dating myself because it doesn't exist anymore.
I was going to say, I don't even know if that exists anymore.
I was not on a table that night, on top of a table at a bar, a regular bar, not that kind. I wasn't on top of a table. I'm not going to call out one of the other graduates because it was 3 of us. Somebody ended up on the top of a table, and we didn't get kicked out, everybody.
Oh, okay.
So it was a heck of a fun night.
It wasn't the guy that sits beside you at the big desk there, is it?
It was not Sean. It was 100% not Sean. No, Sean was already on the trading floor when I started. So he'd already graduated. So it was a couple of other guys that graduated with me. I don't want to call it's not my place to call out names, but it was a heck of a lot of fun. And let's just leave it at
a couple
that.
extra drinks. You know, you end up on top of a table or once in a while. You never know what can happen on that front.
Always be responsible, everybody.
Uber.
That's another thing.
Right.
Always make sure, and when you're the risk manager, and I've always done this every single time now that I've gotten older and we have a family, at the end of a grad night, I'm that person that makes sure everyone's getting home. It's like poker night. It's like, hey man, make sure get this person in a cab, like that kind of thing. Just be responsible, everybody. But there's some obvious, no, it was not Prad. I graduated in 2003. Okay, so. No, that's not who I am talking about. All right? It was a long, long time ago with nobody that you guys know, so I'm not even going to go there. And it was not a Diddy party.
Oh, my.
Poor Robin. Absolutely, of course it was not. You crazy? You crazy? Hey, we don't do that kind of stuff around here. But it was a stock market question. Poor Robin Hood. Does Intel ever recover? Back to what it was? No.
Yeah.
No, because, and if you're hoping for, and I've been in Intel several times, like I've told you guys before, like I was a buyer in the 25s. Whoops, my weekly charts went way too far back here. I meant to kind of go here. I was a buyer in the 25s, and then I had some shares called away once, and then I bought them back off the 50, and then I got more out at the $50 level, and that was all well and good, and I held on to like 30% or a third of the position, only to see it go right back in, and now just slightly under break even on the stock because I bought some more at 21. So I've made some shots in this. And here's what I will tell you. In the shots that I've made in the 20s on Intel, I have made money, but I've lost money. Why is that? Why do you think that's?
Well, because it's done nothing for a long time.
Opportunity cost.
Right.
So yes, I've made some money doing it, but other stocks that I've been buying, Netflix, I could have just put more money into Netflix. I could put more money into Meta, which I bought. Like those things just did better. Nvidia. So that's the one thing you have to consider. So Intel's not going to be what they were before. What they have the opportunity to do is get a CEO, streamline the business, maybe sell some things off, and could be large portions. Maybe divest out of their foundry business. Maybe spin that off, have someone else buy it. There's levers they can pull, and that's the kind of thing that could put a 30 or 40 handle on it. And if they get bought out, maybe you get something like that. But the idea that Intel is going to go back, very few stocks ever are at that top in the industry.
And then
flush and then make the comeback. There are examples. I mean, Oracle's not back at the top, but Oracle's an example of a stock that had a pretty deep pullback and got back to some highs. Apple did a pretty big turnaround for themselves.
Yep.
I don't think Intel is going to be that kind of a name.
Well, Sharif and I were talking about Cisco being one of the largest companies too.
That's great.
But just considering we're talking about Intel, I want to lead this conversation to AMD. Are we going to be having this conversation with advanced micro devices like we are with Intel? Is this stock dead? And a lot of people would classify it, yes. At what point? Because now this was the high, the all-time high here at 227. That was back in early of 2024. And we've had the inability to really rebound and recover in this name. Everybody and a lot of analysts had this number 2 in AI, and this hasn't been the case whatsoever. We are now sub 100 on this name, and like INTC, what is it going to take in order for this company to start to recover? And I'm not too sure what that is, Neil.
A rising tide lifting all ships.
Right. Well, that's what I thought.
I think the problem is how is the thesis supposed to work on AMD if Nvidia is in pullback and people are concerned that, hey, we're in the later stages, growth isn't going to be what it's supposed to be, that's, to me, not the time that AMD is going to play catch-up.
Exactly.
I think once you've made some kind of a trend reversal, there's going to be a trade on AMD. But I can promise you this, to me, it's a trade. It's not something I want to own for the long term. I think you've got so many better options in the space. I think you can be, obviously, you can be in Nvidia. I think you can be in Broadcom. Exactly. I think you can be in ARM. It's just and that's just from like the chip side of it. From the AI side of it, there's plenty of other places you could be. Ridiculous valuation aside, you could be in Palantir for the AI space.
Yep.
You could be in Salesforce for there's so many levers you can pull. You can be in Amazon.
Exactly.
I just don't see like AMD being the one. I think there's a trend break trade though that you can maybe get into it when it breaks this downward trend that it's been in on the daily and weekly, and you can catch yourself a 50 or 40 to 50% move, maybe even 60 on the daily chart. This is the trend I'm talking about. I've drawn the lines on the live show a million times. You can break this trend, and at this point, it could be in the 90s when it does it, and then a pullback into the 200 period moving average gives you a 50% move. I think there's a trade like that in the back half of the year, probably in AMD, or maybe in the middle of the year. But I think that's all it is at this point.
Well, it's tough coming off of those highs, right? We are trading as high as 227, I mentioned, and from where we're currently sitting right now, you need over 100% gain in order to even get relatively close to that. It's still not even going to put you at those all-time highs. So I like that idea there. You will get that bounce trade eventually, but we don't know exactly when or where it is. But hey, only time will tell.
What the heck? Whoa. What is that?
Whoa.
Oh, shoot, it's 4:30. Since when do you hit a gong? Is that an actual gong,
like
Fabian?
Gong. Yeah. We need the Undertaker.
So apparently it's already 4:30, everybody. You know what that means. Hey, just to reiterate, we're going to have fun celebrating with Obi. And shout out to him and congratulations to him for graduating. And I know he would say this if he is right here. He'd say thank you to all of our viewers for all of the support and all the kind words that we always get. And I've seen a lot of it in here. Darwin saying congratulations. So we appreciate each and every one of you. We'll end it with a little bit of roll call, like we always do around here. And if you don't know what roll call is, that is the point where I'll try to do my best. Usually Adara cracks this one out and is super fast. But get your name in the chat. In order to be in the chat, you've got to hit the subscribe button. So make sure you hit the like, hit the subscribe, and I always want you to type a message in there. So I want you to type one thing. Either say, congratulations, Obi, or thank you to someone on this great team. Whether it's Joe, shout out to you for coming on. Adara took the day off. With my man Sean on the ones and twos. Whether it's Fabian, Ramin, Andre, Sharif,
look at this guy.
Brendo.
He's still at his
Obi's right there. He's in the t-shirt. Obi, turn around, show the shirt. Show the shirt.
His grad party, still doing work.
Oh, he's not. Show the shirt. Amazon. So
still working.
That's what it's all about. Everyone shout out Obi. Shout out Bears versus Bulls, the best moderator in the absolute business. So let's get a little roll call action. We've got Andrew Chow, Daniel Squeaky. We've got It's Medical, Andrew Chow again, Bull Shark, Jax Money, Ron Miller, Boondocks, Evo, BB, Sir, Poopy Paper Hands, Dinkelberg in the chat, Save with crypto. Hey, you gotta just hodl. That's all you gotta do. Harry Page is in there, KK14M, Kevin Gonzalez, Los Pollos Hermanos, Viral 86, twice, a Piper, Diggity in the chat, Harry Lou, Uniworld Tech, Isaac TH, Michelle Meir, Poor Robin Hood, Jai Singh, Derry Gilbert, NYC Bernice, now it's going fast, Brian Thompson, Don Hamlin, Sage Might in the chat, Steph Furness, Jose Perez, Stevenson Etienne, on the blockchains, and now I have lost my breath. So we'll end it on that one. Diggity Jacobs, I just saw that one. My dude, shout out to you, and thank you so much. I appreciate you, Joe. Thanks for coming on here, man.
Thank you for having me, as always, my friend. So great.
And I promise everybody, Joe will wear his shirt. We'll take some
get it out.
pictures
We're
of
gonna
all the
take a lot of
boys in the shirts.
gonna
But
get
come
the
on, we're going to have some fun tonight celebrating Obi. Thank you guys so much. Rest up this weekend. It's a volatile market out there. We're right back Monday morning to do it again. It's 8:30 live. We'll see you. Have a fantastic weekend. We're Trader TV Live.
Have a good weekend, everybody. Obi, still working.